Hey, in the immortal words of Judy Brown, happiness is a choice. We're happy you're spending some time with us, Chip and Zay, right here on an Off the Rails Thursday, counting it down to kickoff. We got football tonight. We got football tomorrow. We got football Saturday. We got NFL Sunday. Zay, how you doing, my man?
What's up, man? Not too shabby. Good football weekend we got coming up. Very excited about that. I don't know if anything will be able to top off this past football weekend on the collegiate and pro level, but we'll see. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Chip, how are you?
I am doing good. Off the rails on a Thursday. We love that.
I love that. By the way, I've never heard anything from our guy Big Boy, one half of Outcast, and how that Longhorn City Limits performance was.
Yeah, we need folks to tell us if they were there, how that went. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like
my man Zay, he doesn't get out much.
I don't, I don't, man. Only on special occasions, you dig?
You dig?
It is cost of living's high out here. So,
hey, man.
I like
hard out here for a pimp.
Exactly. So, especially on football weekends, man. This is lone time of the year where I could just tell my wife, "Yeah, baby, sorry, can't do brunch today. I gotta watch this game." Sorry, it's work. I'm working.
I'm working.
Like, do you want me to have a good show? Good shows on Texas Sports Unfiltered, Chip and Zay. I owe it to the people to have as much knowledge as I can, to throw back at y'all, answer questions,
Right. TMZ, you got research.
Exactly.
No piece of sports gossip left unturned.
Yeah, and it's going to get real petty in the right call. I'm already excited for the right call because this story, man, hilarious. I don't know how I feel about it. Y'all stay tuned, but it's a great story. It's making me feel a certain type of way, conflicting feelings your boy's going through with this story. But
I like it. I like it when you have conflicting feelings.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh. It's like having the angel and the Lucifer on each side of the shoulder. One's telling you one thing and you're like, "Oh, you're right." The other's telling you another, and you're like, "Oh, you're right too." It's a mind muck, man.
JSDTX, did you record the Michael Center interview? Yes. So if you go to our YouTube, the Texas Sports Unfiltered YouTube page, channel, we pulled that interview out. So it is a separate, segment that you can just, go check out at the Texas Sports Unfiltered YouTube channel. So appreciate that. A lot of good feedback on that interview.
Yeah, our podcasts come out also like right after the shows too. So wherever you get your podcast, you go listen to Chip and Zay there and the rest of the terrific shows here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Lance Taylor, our SEC insider and prognosticator at lanceslock.com about the games coming up this week. We'll also have John McClain, our NFL insider and Houston insider today because he's got stuff going on tomorrow. So at 3:00, we'll have John McClain and Zay. Steve Sarkeesian had his Thursday media availability and, little injury update. DeAndre Moore coming out of concussion protocol, expected to play Saturday night. Emmett Mosley on target, I'm told, for the Florida game. No Quintravian Wisner. Sark said he's doubtful, but he's not going to play. He's got the hamstring that he's recovering from. I hear he's recovering well.
Yeah.
CJ Baxter, we know, is out with a hamstring as well. So
don't stretch, y'all. Y'all heard John Brown. Do not stretch it. Do not stretch the hamstring. Please don't do it. You heard my man John Brown.
CB says, who is Emmett Mosley? Exactly. It's actually Emmett Mosley, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. But we have not seen Emmett Mosley, who will be rocking the number 3 jersey for the Longhorns. I'm very excited to see Emmett Mosley because his dad played receiver and running back at Notre Dame, and his mom won the Heisman Trophy for soccer, the Herman Trophy, playing soccer at Notre Dame. This guy's got genes, baby. He's got good biogenetics. And as a true freshman last year at Stanford, 46 catches, 6 touchdowns, 4 of them on 4th down. That's how much they trusted this dude. So they need him. He's 6'2", big, strong hands, vacuum cleaner, hopefully. It was interesting, Zay. Sark talked about a lot of things. Talked about Jonah Williams.
Hey,
are you kidding me? We're gonna see number 9 on defense, Big Jonah.
He's available.
So that's one to look for, kids. You know, first night game. I know it's Sam Houston. This should be a feel-good, slump buster, get-back game for the Horns. Hopefully, everybody gets in. Everybody gets a little something going. Arch looks like Arch, and not his evil twin. So that would be good. But yeah, he mentioned Jonah Williams. He mentioned Nick Brooks. He mentioned Nate Kibble. As guys, young, inexperienced guys who haven't seen the field as much. He mentioned Daniel Cruz. So I don't think you'll see Cole Hudson. He had turf toe in the UTEP game, and Connor Robertson came in for the last 20-something snaps.
Yeah, what kind of turf toe is it? We ain't talking about Joe Burrow turf toe or anything, are we?
No, because I was told Cole Hudson wants to play. Okay. Cole Hudson's a tough guy. He played his whole freshman year with a torn labrum in his shoulder and had surgery after the season. So he's a tough guy, but they're trying to get everybody right for Florida, although Sark sounded real happy that DeAndre Moore was going to be back rolling with the offense because, he talked about the fact that DeAndre Moore is a guy who's made plays for this team. And, the danger, Zay, is that this offense becomes, the collective psyche of the entire offense gets affected by Arch's, trying to work through his mental hurdles. Mm-hmm. The quarterback, there's a reason the quarterback gets all the credit and all the blame because he touches it every play. He distributes the ball. He's the one calling the plays. Everybody's looking at him. I heard the Bob Ballou, Mac Brown, Vince Young podcast this week, and VY talked about the body language and how you carry yourself. And, he wants to see Arch with swag and reassuring his teammates. I'm sure you had all kinds of swag when you were out there on that basketball court.
At times.
Giving your teammates juice and giving them, lifting them up, making them better, making the players around you better.
At times, that's a coach's dream. And a lot of these guys that are a big part of that haven't been available, like DeAndre Moore, now CJ Baxter, like Contravian Wisener. All these guys that got experience that could give you a lot of life and juice and make life easier for 16 just haven't been available, which, you gotta get past teams like UTEP without them, but still, Like, that's a big difference. So now having DeAndre Moore back, hopefully he could get involved in this offense because he really hasn't. You go back to the Ohio State game, like DeAndre Moore wasn't involved very much from that first pass of the game where he was wide open and Arch could have hit him and that thing hit the dirt. And then he got knocked out pretty early in San Jose State game for the concussion protocol. Missed last
Right
week.
after he had a 23-yard little flip pass, catch and run, wiped off the board by my man Parker Livingston.
Yeah, just flat out didn't count. So hopefully a lot of these guys could get some confidence in the Sam Houston game. And, Florida, with it being right around the corner, you hate to hear Emmett Mosley might have to be thrown to the Wolves in that game because that will be the first game he'll possibly be back. But, hey, better late than never. But that's what scares me, Chip, with this offense, man. Just guys and the injuries being such an issue that it just causes this offense to be a little more stale than we thought it was going to be heading into the season. So until all these guys get back healthy, we won't know. And even when they do get back healthy, how long is it going to take Contravian Wisner, DeAndre Moore, CJ Baxter, Emmett Mosley V to get their legs up under them and their wheels turning before they could get back to football shape and just, a place where they can be productive and not necessarily mentally worrying about those injuries that they suffered?
Well, the good thing, and I've been told Emmett Mosley is a great teammate, a guy who's gonna, has the confidence to go up to Arch and say, "Hey, man, you're good," and that's important because you got to carry yourself with confidence. We know Contravian Wisner carries himself that way, and his presence on the field should be reassuring to Arch. And look. There's we've been talking about it all week. It's like psychotherapy for Arch right now because he's never faced adversity. I thought Steve Sarkeesian had some really good comments on that this week. He's like, he's had a pretty good life, I mean, the way he's been brought up, the fact that he's a Manning, whatever, he didn't say that, but family, all that. And now, first time he faces adversity, he's facing it on a huge stage. The whole college football world is watching him and judging him and criticizing him. And he's never had that. He played 2A football in, private school football in New Orleans. And so, Steve Sarkeesian said, look, this adversity, once he gets on the other side of it, is going to help him and help the offense's belief in him. And good for Sark for speaking it into existence, manifesting it. We got to see that. And I mean, we did a little bit against San Jose State, but then that for it to go backward last week was just, like I said, he started 4 of 5 passing and then he misses 10 in a row, gets booed. And that's, fans are frustrated because they thought, okay, it went up after Ohio State and then it went back. And that's what you cannot have because the sign of a well-coached team is week to week improvement and everybody's confidence has to go up. And Sark said today, the defense is having a good old time this season. The offense,
yeah,
they'll have more fun as they make plays. So that's
the defense is having a blast, man. Like Ty Anthony Smith's making plays. Grayson Littleton got his first pick last week. Jalen Gilbo has gotten his first pick. Mookie Tav leads the team in tackles. Jelani McDonald got an interception. Anthony Hill is haymakering guys, punching them in their face to get the loose balls out. Like the defense, they're having a grand old time. If the offense can pick up off any of that momentum, then that'll definitely be beneficial. As for Arch, man, like I'm glad that he's had a really good week. Sark talked about it today in his Zoom presser about how proud he is of him just being solid all week long, saying that they still have a lot of confidence in him because they've seen what he does on the practice field. Now you just got to put it on Saturdays. And maybe he has a case of performance anxiety. Like, that might be a thing. Who knows? But hopefully your teammates and your coaches can get you through that, and just your support system. And he has to really rely on that more than he ever has in his career. And like I said yesterday, it started with things like Mookie Taft sitting next to him in the press conference on Monday. That's a big deal. Things like that, like, okay, my teammates, they haven't turned on me. They still got my back. They still think that I'm capable of big things, and our goals, they're still right in front of you. Yeah, you lost to Ohio State, but you go out and win all your games in the SEC at the moment. That sounds a little ridiculous, but it's still there. That's still a goal. So, yes, it feels horrible right now for Arch Manning, but he could flip the narrative and turn it around just like that. And it's going to take everyone from the offensive line. Like, the running game has to get established this week. And I know Arch has to do his thing, but even though you're without CJ Baxter, even though you're without Contravian Wisener, I'm looking for big games from James Simon, Jared Gibson,
James Simon, baby,
Christian Clark. Like, James Simon got that juice, man. Ball in his hands. He makes guys miss. And the offensive line and the running back room, they just got to get on the same page. Chad Scott, Kyle Flood, do y'all's thing. Y'all getting paid big money too. Let's get on the same page now. Like, you got to bring it to the Bearcats this week to where they should be like, man, is the money even worth this type of ass whooping? That, you know what I'm saying? You got to make them have second thoughts on, is coming to Austin a good idea? Because as tough as UTEP played Texas last week, they're affected by that game. They had a lot of guys hurt in that game. And it wasn't like Texas was trying to hurt them, but when you play that type of physicality and you're not used to playing that, then injuries can occur. So I'm not saying you going out and trying to hurt and break necks against the Bearcats, but you got to let them know, hey, when they're stepping on the field with y'all, it's all about business. And you're not feeling too good for your offense. You want to take all that anger out on Sam Houston. Hopefully we see that. We see what the line is and what Vegas has. Can they cover? I don't think so, but they should strive for it. Let's blow them up.
As our man Sean Adams used to say, leave no doubt.
Leave no doubt.
Leave no doubt. And hey, listen, we love our Chip and Zay family. And our man Naaman has been a loyal listener. And he says, hey, Chip and Zay, can y'all please pray for my family who lost my cousin Alex Roberts, a motorcycle cop who got hit yesterday. Love you guys. Absolutely.
Love you too, Naaman.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just hang in there. Keep Alex's spirit alive in your family. That's the greatest gift we can give to a loved one who meant so much to people, is to represent their best qualities, keep their spirit alive inside of you, and make sure that no one forgets Officer Alex Roberts. And God bless, the Roberts family right now. And, thoughts and prayers. That's
Yeah, Naaman, you're my guy, one of our biggest fans on here. And, beauty of what Chip and I do every day from 2 to 4 is maybe you can come shopping with us and hang out with us for a couple of hours where your mind can be off those things and have some fun and, get away a little bit. But, yeah, hearts and prayers go out to the Roberts family for sure.
Yeah. JSDTX says, Naaman, sending our condolences. Thanks for your cousin's service to our community, for sure. And Roy, sending thoughts and prayers as well. So we're thinking about you, Naaman. Appreciate you spending some time with us today on this tough day. JSDTX says the defense is solid. We do not need high scoring games. We need error free offense. Maybe field goals are the way we win this year. And maybe that's how, that's kind of how they won last week, because they did have to settle for field goals. And Mason Shipley, 3 of 3 on field goals, and a couple of right hash field goals. One, he snuck right inside the right goal post last week. But 3 for 3, baby. That's what you need. Because we said this defense, good punting, field goals, you can win that way. And I know everyone's writing them off and saying, 5 losses, the Cheez-It Bowl. Look, this, we joke all the time about the 2000 Ravens going 5 straight games without a touchdown. You don't want that, but look, don't make the big mistake. Arch has an interception in every game this season so far. That's got to stop, because 2 of them were in the red zone when he could have just taken a sack and let Mason Shipley kick a field goal, although he totally missed Parker Livingston on the 4th and 2. He got exactly what he wanted. He needed a first down. It was there, and he didn't throw it. And then he ends up scrambling, running around, and throwing it up for grabs, trying to find Wingo. Didn't throw it high enough, didn't throw it to the back of the end zone where only Wingo could catch it. Ends up being a short, easy pick in the end zone.
His anticipation has to be better. Like, I understand that you want to see guys open, but sometimes that ball has to be in the air before they're open. Like,
that's when you're playing with confidence.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That tells you.
Yeah,
when he sees it and he's
like right when Parker Livingston broke on the route, the ball should have been in the air. Like, that's where it has to be money. Like, you can't wait for it to be that open. Like, sometimes you can, every once in a while, sure, but against the really good defenses, no, man, your anticipation has to be like that. And you got to trust the playbook. You got to trust the call. You got to trust what you see pre-snap, and he's thinking so much, man. The game's just not slow for him right now. And does that have to do with the pressure, the outside noise, all the rat poisoning? I have to think yes, because again, nobody's ever dealt with this before. So you do feel for him in that way. But like you said, Chip, nobody else feels sorry for him. His opponents damn sure don't feel sorry for him. They're banking on that. They're banking on him hesitating, pumping, second guessing. They're banking on that because that leads to the 3 interceptions that he's had thus far. So if he could get to that, just, play with more confidence, anticipating those throws, anticipating that, okay, me and my wide receivers, we've worked on these plays thousands and thousands of times. They're going to be in that right spot. So all I got to do is make the throw. And if he could get back to that, even against one of the worst passing defenses in the whole country and the Bearcats, still that shows some promise, and hopefully he could get his antennas wiggling a little bit that, okay, I still got it in me, and maybe we could carry this momentum in the SEC play.
Yeah. And, Naaman brings up a good point. Right before the touchdown to Wingo, Arch had a touchdown to Gibson in the flats, and he stared and waited and threw the ball late. And that's exactly what Zay was just talking about, because, you've got to, if you're practicing well, you're anticipating those throws and you're not waiting. That's death. Yeah. If you gotta make that throw when the DB is still locked in on the receiver, where the receiver has the advantage, because we saw it in the Ohio State game. He waited way too long. Wingo came out of his break. The DB's eyes were already back on the quarterback. It was an easy break on that ball and an easy interception. You make the throw.
That old crazy looking Better Call Saul looking MF a Gunner Stockton. He was anticipating dudes.
Yeah.
Boy, go back and watch that Gunnar Stockton film. I didn't know Gunnar Stockton had that in the bag. Gunnar Stockton was making some throws in Knoxville this past Saturday, man, with his old Better Call Saul looking self. That's an old looking man right there. That's a lot of wisdom. Like, he balled in, hairline receding crazy, but he looks like it. He looks wise beyond his years, man.
Gunnar Stockton reminds me of a smaller version of Haynes King. The guy's just grimy. He's gonna stick his helmet in there. Remember when Makuba took his head off?
Yeah, he didn't care.
The guy got up like, "Hey man, how we doing?"
Yeah, he lost at least 3 years on that Makuba hit. At least.
Yeah.
At least, man. He just got right
bless
back
Gunnar
up.
Stockton down the road. That hit's gonna pay.
I'm scared of him, man. I'm scared of him. I'm scared of crazy ass Pavia. All them crazy quarterbacks, man, that you gotta play.
Those guys have been doubted their whole life. Arch Manning has never been doubted. Now he's getting doubted, and it's on the biggest stage with Warby Parker commercials running every other 5 minutes.
It's tough.
And, Viore and,
Red Bull.
So he's got this is like a crash course in hard knocks. And the guys who've been doubted all their lives, hell, Colt McCoy, Gunnar Stockton, Haynes King. We got former A&M quarterbacks all over damn college football. Haynes King at Georgia Tech.
Connor Wegman
at Houston. Zach Calzada at Kentucky. Once you start bouncing around, and I'll give Malachi Nelson credit. He got that ball out. A couple times he threw it back against his body and he paid for it, but they were getting that ball out.
Like, they're going to get that ball out quick against Texas. You have no choice.
Right.
You have no choice. You don't want to wait around for Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons to get a hold on you. Yeah, right. 1.8 seconds. You're not even finding the laces. Like, you just catching it and
Sarkeesian said that Arch has been getting 2.5 seconds, and that's plenty.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
That works. You'll take that.
No, the offensive line, pass protection, solid.
Yeah, solid.
Run blocking needs some work, Kyle Flood. But the
run blocking needs some work, and that's sort of been the story of these offensive lines. Even the last 2 years when they made it to the CFP semifinals, they're better pass protecting, which is allegedly the harder part of the job because you're going backward and you're trying to keep guys from getting through you. Every offensive lineman, you ask our man Dan Neal, former All-American at Texas and 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Denver Broncos, every offensive lineman wants to fire off and hit somebody and get to drive the other guy back. You call a running play, offensive linemen are like, yeah, let's go. Now, I get it. San Jose State, UTEP, they gambled, they twisted, they stunted, they slanted. That's high risk, high reward defense. It's worked. You probably won't see it that much once you get into SEC play because they've got big, strong, solid dudes on defense who can win one-on-one matchups, and they don't have to risk.
Kirby was doing it.
Yeah, Kirby. Jesus.
Kirby's crazy ass.
Kirby does everything.
Kirby was doing it. Kirby was doing it right before the clock and stuff, where they were talking about the SEC media days. If it was legal for Kirby to do all that movement at the
the stemming. Yeah, right before the snap. Yeah. That and that's what they want to make sure of is when they're stemming, they're not getting off sides and and not yelling out the snap count, doing like cheater stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kirby, he just sends his guys crashing upfield. I mean,
but by the way, it's weird to know that Neto was a healthy scratch. What's up with that? Do you have any word on why that's the case? Like, how can you go from splitting snaps with Connor Stroh at that left guard spot to the next week playing against UTEP and Connor Stroh gets majority of the reps and now Neto's a healthy scratch? Like, was Connor Stroh's practice that good and Neto's that bad? Like, make sense.
I'll be surprised if we don't see Neto this week, in rotation, or Nate Kibble. I was a little puzzled by that as well. Let's bring in our man, Lance Taylor, our SEC insider and prognosticator, star, along with Ryan Brown and Jim Dunaway on Next Round Live out of Birmingham, Alabama. LT, what's going on?
Hey, who would have said that Arch Manning would be the sixth best quarterback in Texas right now?
You got to name him, Lance. You got to name him before
Let's do it. Sawyer Robertson, Marcel Reed, Josh Huber, Baron Morton, Kevin Jennings. I probably could dig around and find some more. But
would you take Connor Wegman over him?
I don't know about that. That might be a bridge too far.
I mean, Lance, it's like watching I said to Zay the other day, 19, 20, 21 years old, if a girl looked at me the wrong way, I could have a confidence crisis,
Yeah, no, look, but it is a different world. I mean, he's been in the spotlight for how long? And he's been around this kind of stuff for how long? And that's what's kind of surprising. We had Joel Klatt on. We've got him on every week, and I think he's one of the best that breaks everything down. And he's like, the rhythm's just not there. And he's like, this is just my personal opinion, but it seems like he's almost a step or two in front of some of the plays. And he's like, it's just not all coming together. And he's like, I don't know if it will or won't. And Chip, when you were on our show yesterday, you talked about Sam Houston, a team that's 0-3 and a team that's got a really bad defense. And I don't know if it doesn't show up this week, how it just miraculously shows up once you get to the SEC. That's what's a little concerning. But I'm also shocked that this is a guy that has been in that system for 3 years now. And it is one of the best, if not the best play caller in all of college football. And you've got a lot of skill around you. And you really don't have to do a ton right now because your defense is so good. So, it just doesn't make a lot of sense what's going on right now in Austin.
Yeah. I mean, it's all mental, and he's never had criticism. He's never had adversity playing at 2A Isidore Newman in New Orleans, private school football. It's been love and roses and number one recruit in the nation. And then he hits some rough patches. I mean, I'm sure the first pass he threw this season, that he skipped wide open DeAndre Moore, he skips it off the ground. He's probably thinking to himself, what the hell was that? But I said this to Zay, when you come out in that environment and you're not used to it, that was his first true road start. It's hard to breathe, players say, coming out of the tunnel for the Texas OU game, there's so much emotion. There's so much energy. It's hard to breathe. And they say it takes half a quarter to kind of be able to breathe again. The lactic acid is choking him, whatever. And I'm sure Arch had some of that going on. Missed some.
But Chip, I've talked to some of the best scientists and doctors, and they're screaming to me right now. The thing that makes breathing easier is San Jose State and UTEP.
Right? I mean, there should be no oxygen needed in those games.
I'm baffled. And again, back to Klatt last week when I was like, Ty Simpson's a better quarterback right now. And I said, I actually think half the SEC might be better. And he was like, you are crazy. So he came on today and I was like, asking for a friend, but give me your top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. And he's like, Arch isn't one of them. I mean, we've seen enough up until this point. Again, it might swing back the other way. I also asked Klatt, can Texas, with that really good defense, still win a championship if you get an average Arch Manning? And he doesn't think so. And I don't really think so, because I think when you look around this league, I do think we're going to have a lot of 9-3s and 10-2s. I think that's probably going to be the best, but these quarterbacks are playing well. Like Aguilar and Gunnar Stockton, that back and forth was awesome in Neyland on Saturday. I mean, in a loss, Taylor Green was freaking awesome in Oxford. You know, I thought, you know, in a backup situation, I thought Chambliss was really, really good coming in for Simmons when he got nicked up. Yeah, you know, Mateer is Mateer. And, you know, the disappointing ones to me right now are Arch and DJ Lagway. DJ Turnover, by the way. He's got a new nickname. DJ Turnover was awful. I had 4.5. I never thought they would not cover that game. And it was so uncomfortable to watch. One pick after another pick, throwing 5 picks and only losing by 10 on the road to a top 3 team.
That's what I was going to say, LT, because, you know, Texas opens SEC play with Florida. The strength of Florida's defense is their line. Lagway throws 5 picks, and the defense only gives up 20. That's impressive.
Oh, hey, I think we're in for a Ohio State Texas-like game. One possession game, could go either way, low scoring, plays in, you know, into the teens, 17-14 maybe on a good Saturday. But, you know, I'm going to stick with it. I told you guys I believe Texas would be 3-2 going to Red River, and Oklahoma would be undefeated. Oklahoma does have, you know, pretty big test this weekend with Auburn. But
how do you see that one?
I kind of like Auburn plus points, Chip. I don't feel great about it. You know, Auburn, if they can run the football, I mean, right now they're averaging 260 yards per game on the ground. That is 14th in the FBS. If they can run the football effectively. Now, this is a defense, and Venables' defense has only allowed 3 first-half points through 3 games. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown the entire season. So something's got to give. I do think as improved as Oklahoma's defense or Oklahoma's offense is, defense might be their best unit. Defense
is Oklahoma's offense really that improved? Because
it's got to be. It can't be worse.
No, I know, but Mateer's, like, their running game is all Mateer.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of running game, and that offensive line is not good. Mateer is really making stuff happen.
Well, I'm really surprised, and I know Ott was banged up coming into the season, but Jay Knott getting him from Cal, I'm a little surprised he hasn't been more of a factor. And watching him at Cal last year, I thought he was really good. So we'll see how that swings around. They do have a deep threat in Burks now. So the offensive line is better, no doubt, than it was last year. So I think it'll be a really good game. The loser of this game to me is out. If you go look at their schedules coming up, I know it's a little premature to say a team that hasn't lost yet if they were to lose their first game, and you might be able to get in with 3 losses. But I just think the strength of Oklahoma and Auburn's schedule coming up is going to be brutal. So loser is going to be squarely behind the 8 ball here.
Lance, what did Georgia show you in that win in Knoxville? Obviously, like you said, that game might be the game of the year, especially thus far. But Gunnar Stockton, Chip and I have been talking about it all week. He definitely showed us something. But that defense for Georgia, not necessarily a Kirby Smart defense. Give Josh Heupel and Aguilar credit. But what do you think of the Bulldogs, especially with them in that schedule they have to play next weekend versus Bama?
So fortunate to get out of there with a win. And coming into the game, nobody really knew a lot about Gunnar Stockton. We talked about only averaging 5.3 yards per attempt going into that game, almost 10 yards per attempt coming out with the 44-41 win. Tennessee's receivers are a lot better than I thought they would be. But Tennessee commits 10 penalties and turns it over multiple times. It still almost wins that game. If it wasn't for an incredible throw to London Humphreys on that 4th down where, he just dropped it out of the sky. Georgia loses that game. Or if Tennessee hits a 43-yard field goal in the regulation, they lose that game. But I thought Stockton was really good. 3 total touchdowns, over 300 yards passing. I think both of those teams are, really, really good teams. I mean, but Georgia to give up almost 500 yards of offense, this Tennessee offense is legitimate, though. And I am really surprised that Aguilar is as good as he is right now.
Yeah, if you are looking at Georgia, where did the question marks pop for you coming out of that game?
Coming out of the game, probably it is secondary a little bit because it seemed like even in one-on-one situations, like, I mean, those guys were getting eaten alive. And again, Aguilar throws a nice deep ball right now. I didn't foresee Aguilar picking apart the Georgia defense. So I think that's a question mark. I think still identifying weapons. Like Nate Frazier's got to be more involved. He ran it 14 times for 73 yards. The first touchdown of the game or second touchdown of the game for Georgia, Zachariah Branch, the transfer from USC, got to get him in space, more touches. So Mike Bobo's got to get a little more creative offensively for me. But for them to put up 44 and win a game in Neyland and they're still undefeated, I mean, I think it's easy to make the argument Georgia's the best team in the SEC right now.
Yeah. How for real is Vanderbilt? I mean, when the Norris Sellers got knocked out, that definitely took the wind out of South Carolina's sails. But, hey, to put up 40 on the road, Diego Pavia, Clark Lee, love both of those guys and just their enthusiasm. How are you feeling about the Commodores?
Man, I am Pavia. I really thought coming into this year, Zay, that they would take a couple of steps backwards. I think they're a better team. Everybody, it wasn't like Diego and Vanderbilt was going to sneak up on anybody. Now, you look at this, you try to find me 7 wins, though. It is really, really difficult. I think they will find a 7th win. Whether it's 6-6 or 7-5, Clark Lee's still done a hell of a job. I think it's interesting moving forward. He's getting paid a lot of money. He's coaching his alma mater. He's in the SEC. He probably will be a guy that gets offers, and you just wonder, does he look at this as like, I know I can't win a championship, but I can make a lot of money. I can coach my alma mater, and I don't have a ton of pressure on me, or does he maybe ultimately bolt? I think it is also fascinating that Diego said that he was not coming back next year, but it seems like they are challenging this, and that would be a breakthrough case because if I'm Diego, why would you not want to come back? You're barely 6 feet tall, if that. No chance he's playing in the NFL. He comes back, makes 7 figures playing college football for as long as they'd have you. And I don't know how the NCAA is going to challenge this. I mean, you guys look at this. If he's got a degree from Vanderbilt, how many players have already graduated that continue to play? So I just think we might get to a point, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this. I kind of like it because I don't think Texas and Alabama and Ohio State would do this. But for Vanderbilt to be able to hold on to a Diego Pavia for 5, 6, 7 years up until he's 28, 29 years old, it keeps him really competitive. It does.
He'll be 25 next year.
Crazy.
Turns 25 in April.
But anyway, long answer to your question. I am very, very impressed because say what you want. Virginia Tech's already fired their coach, and South Carolina was without Lenore Sellers. But when you go on the road and you dominate like they have, I mean, they have the last 6 quarters, they have been completely dominant. So I think this Vanderbilt team is pretty good. And I don't think anybody can look at their schedule and be like, that's a win, because that is a dangerous team. And there's a good chance they're still going to beat someone they shouldn't this year.
All right. My Big Ten champion, Illinois, is on the road at Indiana. Indiana's favored by 5.5. LT, how you see this one?
I kind of like Indiana here. I do a Calcutta and I own 10 teams, and one of the teams I own is Illinois. So I'd like to see Illinois win this. You don't see these two match up as ranked teams ever. Illinois 7-0, their last 7 games against the spread. Mendoza was one of my favorite quarterbacks coming into the year, transferring from Cal. I said early in the season, I think he could be the number 1 overall player in next May's draft, the number 1 overall player. Now, he's going to have to beat some of these defenses because fact of the matter is Indiana's best season of football last year, going 11-2, getting to a college football playoff. Kirk Cignetti is still yet to beat a ranked team. He was 0-2 last year. This will be another opportunity. And if they want to get back to a college football playoff, they won't get the benefit of the doubt. If they lose, the 3 ranked teams they're playing this year in Oregon, Penn State, and in Illinois on Saturday, they got no shot at getting in. They probably need to win 2 of those 3. But this is one they're favored, one they should win. But, you look at the other side, Luke Altmaier's been really good, 8 touchdowns, no picks. They've got all 5 starters back on that offensive line. It's a really good defense. Hank Beatty is one of these all-purpose guys nobody talks about for Illinois. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I just lean Indiana right now.
Interesting.
What about a potential Big 12 championship preview, Lance? Texas Tech at Utah. Kyle Whittingham, that's my guy, but Joey McGuire trying to go in and make some noise. What you got in this one?
Well, I mean, Texas Tech, they haven't been challenged. They've outscored their opponents 174-35 through 3 games. They still haven't allowed a point through the first 3 quarters of any game this season. I don't care who you're playing. And Baron Morton hadn't taken a snap in the 4th quarter. And I think that's ultimately going to hurt them in this situation. I don't like the 11 o'clock big noon kick in Salt Lake because it's 10 o'clock on their body clock. So I do think that's a little bit of a factor. If this game was at night, I'd really like Utah. I'd lean Utah minus the 3.5 because I think Dampier can have success against this Texas Tech defense. And Morton not being challenged yet, I think that's going to be a factor in a tight game in the 4th quarter. But I like Utah minus the 6.5, and a lot of it based on the fact that Morton hadn't gone against anybody this year, and Dampier is playing extremely well.
All right, the Florida Gators at the Miami Hurricanes. Miami favored by 7.5, 6:30 p.m. Saturday on ABC. How do you see this one?
Okay, Chip, I don't know if this is factual. I think it is, but Jim Dunaway, one of my co-hosts, has brought this up multiple times this week. Billy Napier would have to win his next 28 games to have the same winning percentage that Dan Mullen had when he was fired at Florida. Billy Napier is 20-21 right now. Think about that, 28 straight games. Ain't going to happen. It's hard to believe that Florida hadn't beaten the top 5 teams since 2020 in the pandemic when they beat Georgia. I don't know how good Miami is. Everybody is saying they're a top 3, 4, 5 team. Carson Beck has been really, really good. But Carson Beck threw 3 picks against this Florida defense last year in a tight win for Georgia. Florida blew me away that DJ turned it over 5 times. He's got 6 picks on the season. But DJs go to Miami to get well. That's what I've heard. DJs get well in the city of Miami. So I think DJ plays much better this weekend. I think Florida's defense is legitimate. I like Florida plus the 7.5. Do they get the win? I'm going to say they get the win, and they make things really interesting because this would be so Billy Napier.
Boom. There's an upset alert.
Yeah. Lance, your thoughts on Brian Kelly just losing his mind in the press conference on the reporter, questioning his offense, which I think is fair, especially with their record now and how that looks with the way Clemson's looked and now Florida. He since then apologized, but does LSU seriously have a problem on the offensive side?
I think they do, Zay. And I was impressed. You go back to Clemson in the second half, that's not as impressive in week 1 now that we've looked at Clemson and had a snapshot of 3 games. Nussmeier hasn't been good. They can't run the football. The offensive line, I was kind of blown away. They played to the level they did in Death Valley against Clemson, but this is just not a really good offense. And I think that's one of the reasons Brian Kelly is so frustrated because he doesn't understand it. Nussmeier is a very, very experienced quarterback, but we pulled our top 5 quarterback rankings going into the season in the SEC, and it was embarrassing because we had, guys like Arch and Nussmeier and DJ Lagway right up there and Lenore Sellers at the top. And these guys have absolutely done nothing. I don't know, man. I think LSU's good, but they got losses coming up. Like if you had a semblance of a quarterback protecting the football Saturday night, they lose that game. There was a holding call. They would have gone up 10-0. Florida with a 10-point lead, but that defense is going to be a problem. But LSU, I don't know. I think they're, one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the SEC probably, but they got to get this offense right. And Nussmeier cannot turn the football over. And they've got to figure out with Caden Durham somehow the ability to run that football, to have a little balance, to take some pressure off him. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to just overnight run the football. So I think this LSU offense could be a problem moving forward. Now, the good news is Blake Baker's really improved the defense, but much like Texas and the point we brought up there, average quarterback play is not going to win you a championship in this league this year.
All right, well, let's talk about the game that the whole college football world is talking about, and that, of course, is SMU at TCU. The battle of the spoiled rich kids right there in the Metroplex. TCU favored by 6.5. Another 11 a.m. kick on ESPN2 LT.
Man, this is a big number, Chip. Like, I thought this thing would come TCU 3.5. I didn't see it coming at this number. I think you've got obviously two experienced quarterbacks. I think Hoover is the better of the two quarterbacks, completing over 76% of his passes. We're playing for the iron skillet. You know this all too well. Sonny Dykes going against his former team. I asked this question earlier this week. What's the better job right now? I know Sonny Dykes got the TCU job. You guys are right there. But can you not make the argument the team that went to the college football playoff last year that seems to have a little bit more money than TCU? I know TCU's got money. TCU played for a national championship 2 years ago. But is SMU the better job?
Oh, yeah. SMU's better job. I mean, there's no question. You got all that great tradition. You kidding me? Doak Walker, Kyle Rote, Eric Dickerson. I'm just riffing right now.
Okay, so I think SMU hangs here. I don't feel good that they win the game. It would be pretty amazing, where Rhett Lashley has had this program over the last couple of years if they already dropped 2 games in the month of September. But after the heartbreaking loss to Baylor, I don't see how TCU doesn't score on this defense. So we're probably in for another one of these track meets, good quarterback play, but I lean TCU to win, but SMU to cover.
Yeah. Lance, another coach that crashed out this week was Dabo Swinney. And, hey, Clemson going up to Atlanta, losing to Georgia Tech, K Klubnik, with a lot of people, including us, were put up there in New York, maybe winning the Heisman. Clemson might be a team to win the Natty. Doesn't seem like that right now. How bad are things for the Tigers?
Well, first of all, I'm not a big Dabo fan. I think he's done a great job. I think he deserves a lifetime pass with that job. I don't think anybody has said that he needs to be fired. I think there are some rumblings of, what have you done for us lately? I mean, you go back to 2020, since winning the ACC championship game, they are 15-17 against teams with a winning record. He is getting paid the third most amount of money right now amongst FBS coaches. You've got Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney. Kirby Smart and Ryan Day are the last 2 active coaches to win national championships. I mean, it's been a minute for I know there's only one that goes around every year, and they're really difficult to do, and it's not like Clemson had a lot of success before Dabo. But Cade Klubnik coming back, a lot of people believe maybe it was the best quarterback in all of football coming back. He's got a 37.5 QBR, which is 121st out of 136 quarterbacks. Antonio Williams, big loss. When he went down, that is obviously one of these security blankets. But Cade Klubnik's got to figure out other weapons, and he's still got to figure out a way to protect the football. The fumble against Georgia Tech was awful. He's turned it over way too many times. Fact of the matter is they're 1-2. They've lost as a favorite in 2 of these games. And Dabo is just not the same Clemson. Something is going on there. I don't know exactly what it is. I thought they would be dominant. I said gun to head, if there's one team that wins their conference this year, it is Clemson, hands down. And I think Clemson's already out of the picture there. I know Dabo would disagree, but right now, Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, all better teams in my opinion in the ACC.
Yeah. LT, I know you gotta bounce. What is going on over at lanceslock.com?
Okay, so college football has been a battle. We try to be transparent. We're in year 12. We had a terrible Saturday this past Saturday, still hanging around the 500 mark. We're 9-1 in the NFL, though. So we are 9-1. We finally lost this past Monday night, but we are 9-1. So we've been crushing the NFL. We've got another play up and available tonight with the Dolphins and the Bills. We've been killing Major League Baseball. Free play every day, daily packages, weekly packages, monthly package, annual packages. Jump on board. Win with us at lanceslog.com. But we have Major League Baseball tonight, and we do have the side of the Dolphins and the Bills available at lanceslog.com.
How was Nashville? Rams game.
Nashville was hot as hell, Zay. I'll tell you a couple of things. I was surprised how many Rams fans were there. I didn't really know there were sections. Like one of my buddies has got a ticket brokerage. He's had it for 30 years. He was like, "Do you want to be in the Rams section?" And I'm like, "Sure." I didn't, and I've probably been to 40 or 50 Rams games in my life. No lie. I've been to 3 of their Super Bowls. I've just been to a ton of Rams games, especially when they're around here and I can drive, and it's only a 2-hour and 45-minute drive to Nashville. But I was surprised how many Rams fans were there. It was 92 degrees in the heat. Mike Jones, the former Rams legend who made the most incredible Super Bowl tackle, Super Bowl 34 on Kevin Dyson, keeping him away from the goal line, keeping that game away from overtime, had an opportunity to meet that guy. I thought our defense looked good. Cam Ward's going to ultimately be a stud, though. I will tell you that. The throw he made on third down, the one touchdown they scored, where he's rolling right, then comes back left, and then lobs it all the way across the field was pretty amazing. It was fun, though. Good time.
Nice.
Who you got? Lions, Ravens. Ravens, right? Yeah. Okay.
You guys bounce back. 52 is a big number. That was on Chicago. Yeah. Look, that's what you got to do. When you get embarrassed like you guys did week 1 against Green Bay, the only thing you can do is bounce back like that. And I think that's exciting if I'm a Detroit fan like you, because – I was really worried Ben Johnson in the offense with all of those weapons, what happens? But 52 on anybody in the NFL is a massive number. So you guys are probably going to be okay. But, I think Baltimore has got a damn mad on. They came back and scored 40 plus after, of course, it was against Cleveland after blowing that lead to Buffalo. But Baltimore, to me, a top 3-4 team. Detroit, probably a top 10 team. But I like Baltimore to win this game.
All right, LT, you're the best. Everybody get over to lanceslock.com for the picks, a free pick every day at lanceslock.com. Appreciate you. Let's do it again next week.
Yes, you boys enjoy the games. Let's win. Let's cash some tickets and have a great week.
Appreciate you, Lance.
There he is, Lance Taylor, at the Lance Taylor on the Twitter sphere.
Yo, Lance is wild trying to get Diego Pavia here. Get his old ass out into the real world. Let's start making that LinkedIn account right damn now. And come on, that's ridiculous. I love Diego Pavia. I ain't trying to see him again next year. That's wild stuff.
What?
Come on, man.
That's why college football, sports is the best reality TV going. Because we get craziness in college football, especially. Rules are freaking crazy. Now the players are running the show. NIL, you got dudes making a lot of money who are starting to get pissed if they're not getting the playing time they want. I mean, this thing, I love college football. I don't care what the hell else is going on with the politics of the sport. I mean, it's a hard job if you're a head coach in this game, because you don't have a salary cap. You don't have owners trying to keep everything, working together to keep things in order, and you don't have a players union. So it is the Wild West. But man, you're going to tune in every Saturday to see what happens. And
so you trying to see Diego Pavia 2026?
I mean, if they say he can play, he plays. And plus his brothers, you never know what the hell they're going to do. Now you got people trying to date Pavia's mom. He's trying to get a date with Tate McRae in exchange. I mean, this is bonkers. This is TMZ at its finest.
Yo, I think our girl Tate was at the Mood this week.
Oh.
Yeah, we missed that.
Yeah, we missed that.
We missed that. That's unfortunate.
Hey, Ice Cube's coming to the Mood.
Oh, hell yeah. Yay. We need that.
That was me and L's first date.
Oh, y'all.
We went to go see Ice Cube at Nutty Brown.
Oh, yeah. Y'all meant to last just from that.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's bring in the general, the man, the one and only Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his coverage of the NFL. He's in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame because he is the voice of reason in H-Town. Been covering the NFL for 4 decades. The one and only John McClain. John, how you doing?
I'm great, guys. I was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame this week. We went up there to shoot on our documentary about high school football in Texas before integration, and we went up, got to go after hours and shot the bus and some other stuff there, and it was a a great and a productive trip.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, what do you make of the Texans, John? They were so close, and then Baker and those Bucks rose up and got them.
When I was in Canton and in Cleveland on Tuesday, the day after the Monday night game, in which Mayfield brought the Buccaneers back to beat the Texans with 6 seconds left, all the talk shows were talking, would Baker Mayfield have been great and played the way he has been in Tampa Bay if he'd stayed in Cleveland and matured and grown up, or did he need to bounce around the NFL and go to LA and Carolina and then to Tampa? And the consensus was that the Browns somehow would have held him down. Well, he would never have thrown the ball in Cleveland the way he's thrown in Tampa, because that stadium, along with the Bears, both those stadiums sit on a Great Lake where the wind is awful all the time. That's why the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, why the Browns have only had one, Brian Sipe, in 1980, because you can't throw the ball there too much and you have to build it around the running game. So I told friends of mine in the media, no, he would have never been here what he is there as in Tampa. And he was magnificent. And he's pulled out 2 games right at the end. They're 2-0, beating Atlanta on the road and Houston on the road. Now they get to go home at 2-0. And there's hard to pick a team in the NFC that you can say is clearly better than Tampa Bay. Texans defense, supposed to be a Super Bowl defense, couldn't stop Baker Mayfield in the last series. He stuffed it down their throat. He beat them with a running game despite missing 2 offensive tackles. And it was a great victory for the Bucs. He did to the Texans what C.J. Stroud did to the Bucs 2 years ago when he threw a touchdown pass with 6 seconds left to Tank Dell to win 39-37. And there is no resemblance between that Texans offense 2 years ago and the offense that they continue to put on the field.
Yeah, John, it just seems like the offensive line for the Texans really having their struggles where CJ, he's just trying to make a play, but the pressure is always in his face. Talk about just how bad the offensive line's been.
It has been. Running backs picking up people have been bad. Dari Gumbawale, who's a backup running back and a third down back, if he picked up the right guy, he gets steamrolled. And I saw Dan Orlovsky on ESPN do a breakdown on exactly what was wrong in that game with the Texans pass protection. And it wasn't guys getting beaten physically. It was not picking up the right guy and being confused and looking clueless. Well, that, again, is coaching. And Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator, first-time play caller, I didn't expect him to start off like a house on fire. And with all the new starters at every position in the offensive line, you expect issues, but you don't expect a running back to pick up somebody outside when it's clear guys coming up the middle, or pick up a guy up the middle and miss the guy on the outside. It's rudimentary for every other team, and they just continue to make the same mistakes. Now, C.J. Stroud, he missed open receivers. If he'd have thrown the ball quicker on a 3rd and goal at the 1, he would have hit Nico Collins, but he waited too late and it was out of his reach. 4th and 1. Now, remember this, we'll never know, but Stroud has more authority at the line of scrimmage for protections and a lot of audibles. So it's 4th and 1, and Stroud rolls to his left and throws across his body, and that is so much more high risk. Why not have him fake to Nick Chubb, keep the ball, and he can run it or he can throw it to somebody in the end zone? That would have made a lot more sense. And if Nick Caley called that, shame on him, because that was a terrible play call. And on a 2-point conversion, you get sacked on a 2-point conversion. That is inexcusable. And once again, it was a protection issues and a running back was involved. And so they're getting blasted in Houston, as they well deserve. D'Amico Ryans is not used to criticism. C.J. Stroud's not used to criticism, and they're getting it, and it is well deserved because they are a disappointing 0-2. And the only bright spot I could possibly see, they go to L.A. and they play a defending division champion and they lose by 5. They play a defending division champion at home and lose by 1. Now they go to Jacksonville, where they have not lost since 2017. The Jaguars beat Carolina, then they lost. They're not looking much better under Liam Cohen than they looked last year, Doug Peterson's last season. So the Texans better win this one, because if you start off 0-3 in almost every case, there's no bounce back.
John Colin says, I've been waiting all week for this interview. Can we ask John about his thoughts on the Colts, who will play the Tennessee Titans this week with Danny Dimes at QB?
His nickname now is Daniel Indiana Jones. I hated that Danny Dimes. That's one of the worst nicknames in history. And Chris Berman gave him the Indiana Jones on an ESPN highlight. I don't think they've punted in 2 games. It's a great story. 2-0. Jim Irsay, they're playing for their late owner, and everything has worked. Shane Steichen's got a quarterback he can coach, who can take the coaching and then carry it out on the field. Jonathan Taylor's playing great. They loaded with receivers, and they should beat the Titans to start 3-0. And if the Texans lose and fall 3 games behind them, that last game that's to be determined, TBD, might not mean squat. And but Indianapolis will play tougher games, but right now they're one of the teams that's the toast of the NFL.
Yeah, I'll say.
John, this Tom Brady situation is very odd. We know he's 5% owner for the Raiders. He's still doing his games in the booth for Fox, and he's talking to these teams with the broadcast crew every game that he has. He doesn't get to go to practice like the rest of them do, but now when you see Brady in the booth with the Raiders, it makes you feel a little, I don't know, it was a little sketchy, but obviously the NFL knew he was going to do it. They're allowing him to do it. Your thoughts on that situation?
The Raiders aren't good enough for me to give it a second thought. Now, if the Raiders get good, and then maybe they'll be better next year, but the division is so difficult. But say they win a couple games. The Raiders, let's see, who are they playing this week? I can't even remember. They play the Raiders play.
They're playing at Washington.
Okay, they're at Washington, and next week I can't remember. They play somebody that Brady has was involved in all the pregame with this week.
Bears.
And Ben Johnson said, "Look, we change things every week. I'm not worried about that. But if they started winning, all of a sudden people are like, whoa, now what is Brady doing here? How much is he helping them?" I thought the most interesting thing wasn't him being in the booth with a headset. The thing that I thought was the most interesting is Chip Kelly said he talks to Brady all the time. He's a new offensive coordinator. Pete Carroll, the new head coach, goes, whoa, that's not true. Basically calling his coordinator a liar. He said, we talk to him sporadically. So I don't know what's up with that, if they're trying to cover for him. And I think this, no matter what Tom Brady does, he wants to win. He is a perfectionist. If he owns 5%, 1%, a third of a percent, he's going to want to do everything he can to help his team win. Would he cheat to help do it? Deflategate? Spygate?
Yeah. That is a weird one. All right, John. Selfishly, the Lions bounce back against the Bears. Your thoughts on that game? And the Lions now get the Ravens in Baltimore on Monday night.
Great game, great bounce back game. Considering I picked them to go to the Super Bowl and lose to Buffalo, I was glad to see it. Dan Campbell was relieved. His coordinators were relieved because they had to replace Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. And now, if they beat Baltimore, then people are going to go, whoa, Detroit is a Super Bowl contender again. But there's no shame in losing a game like that. But last year, despite all those injuries, they won 15 games. And are they capable? Sure, they are. But right now, Baltimore, after losing to 1 point to Buffalo, it's hard for me to say Buffalo's better than Baltimore. But since I picked Buffalo instead of Baltimore this year, I'll stick with the Bills. But I'm pulling for the Lions.
John, Thursday night football tonight. Miami against Buffalo. It seems like Mike McDaniel should probably put his house on the market with the way things are going. But right now, the Dolphins don't look good. Meanwhile, Buffalo's 2-0.
Zay, I saw a list today. I think it was on ESPN that had all the coaches fired after 4 games, including Bill O'Brien here after an 0-4 start in 2020. I don't know who they have on that staff they would have wanted to make as an interim coach, but McDaniel won to reach the playoffs in 22 and 23. And in 24, they were not good, and now everybody wants to get rid of him. I don't think Stephen Ross would fire him this early in the season, but losing at home to New England, a New England team that didn't look very good on the opening weekend, Raiders beat them in Foxborough. I don't think he would do it, but that offense has got too much talent to not continue to be explosive. And so much pressure is on Tua Tagovailoa's shoulders, and he needs to produce. They gave him the big contract. He earned it some, but right now they're not close to being the team they were in 22 and 23.
John, the Cowboys pulled one out of their rump roast. And I mean, I'm still a little bit in disbelief getting the ball back with 25 seconds, getting the field goal, getting into overtime, beating the Giants. What did you make of that game? And the Cowboys this week are at Chicago. How do you see that one playing out?
Boy, I'd love to see the Cowboys beat the Bears. I was tired in the offseason of everybody saying, well, if you had to pick a worst to first, it would be Chicago. And I'm thinking, why? And the stat that the last 5 years in which Dak Prescott has played the whole season or most of the season they've been in the playoffs, Dak was tremendous in the game against the Giants. Russell Wilson was fantastic, 450 yards, till he threw up a punt in overtime that was intercepted, and then the Cowboys won the game. There's going to come a time, whether it's halftime or the end of the game, where Marr's going to get a 70-yard field goal attempt. And that one he made from 64 hit the net, and it didn't hit the bottom of the net after it went through the goalpost. That guy is capable of kicking a 70-yard field goal, and he's going to get a chance to do it. Next thing you know, the NFL will want to legislate against field goals of 70 yards because nobody could stop him.
How do you feel about the Texans going to Jacksonville this week, John?
I don't have Zay. I got no confidence in the Texans right now, but I picked the Texans just because they're a better team than the Jaguars. They have more talent than the Jaguars. They haven't lost there since Tom Coughlin was the coach. But on the other hand, I haven't seen the Texans do anything offensively that makes me think they're capable of beating anybody, and yet they've come close 2 times against really good teams. So maybe they'll have a breakout game. But Nick Caley, the new play caller, he's got to do a better job. I saw an unbelievable stat, and I tweeted about 3 times. Think if defensive coaches would know this. When Stroud was under center, they ran like 80% of the time. When Stroud was in the shotgun, they passed more than 80% of the time. Duh. Do you think defensive coaches know that? How bad is that you did that? That is terrible. And so Nick Caley's getting a lot of criticism. I like the guy, but he's the second coordinator they've had who's been a first-time coordinator and first-time play caller. And if he eventually gets fired, they always get fired. I'm guessing the next one's going to be a guy that's called plays for multiple teams.
John, the Chargers were my pick to possibly win it all as a kind of out of the blue team. They've never done anything in the playoffs, but they're looking pretty good. The Chargers get Denver at SoFi at 3:05 on CBS on Sunday. What do you think of that game and the Chargers?
Well, they should win it all because Colin Cowherd is Harbaugh's greatest coach in history, leaving out the fact he's never won a Super Bowl and he won a national championship in college in which it's proved that he cheated like crazy. And Jimmy Johnson and Bill Belichick. Belichick's got 6 Super Bowl trophies Jimmy Johnson won in college and the NFL championships, and then so did Pete Carroll. And then there's that Lombardi fellow. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. But I couldn't pick the Chargers because the last time I saw them, the Texans were beating up on Jim Harbaugh, the greatest coach in history, in the wild card round of the playoffs. But they've earned it. Justin Herbert's playing very well. They've overcome an injury. Their best offensive lineman, tackle Rashawn Slater, and they look really good. Now, if they beat Denver, which is coming off that really tough loss at Indianapolis, then the people are going to start talking about the Chargers is right up there, close to Buffalo and Baltimore as the best teams in the AFC.
And now Cameron Dicker is the most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history.
Dicker the kicker. Boy, they could use him in Austin considering those close games they're playing. They might need him to beat Sam Houston State.
Yeah,
they struggle to beat the Miners.
Yeah, John, let's segue to that. How you feel about Texas and Arch Manning right about now?
I know what Steve Sarkeesian says. Coaches get tired of being asked by injuries, but I've watched a lot of NFL people that I respect, like ESPN, NFL.com. A lot of guys former players been analyzing the NFL for years, and they're showing different arm angles, and they think it looked that he's hurt. And you guys see it. What was the one where he had the grimace on the face?
Yeah.
And Sarkeesian said something about you guys going to the bathroom. What was this about the grimace and you guys in the bathroom?
Yeah.
I read that and I'm like, what the is he talking about? Do y'all think he's hurt?
I don't, because, people close to him say he's not hurt. They're running him. If he was hurt, I don't think they'd be running him. I think he's in his head and he's got to get out of there.
Well, and if he's hurt, he wouldn't be playing. You're playing UTEP at Sam Houston State. If he was hurt, he wouldn't be in here. Who's the backup quarterback now?
Matthew Caldwell. He was a transfer, a fifth-year senior transfer from Troy. Started 6 games there last year, went 3-3.
Well, we all know Arch Manning's the most scrutinized quarterback in the history of college football. He is. And it's because he's with University of Texas, picked first in the polls. He's supposed to win the Heisman. He's supposed to be the first overall pick. He's a Manning. I don't think anybody could live up to that. Peyton, as Steve Spurrier said, you couldn't spell citrus without what did he say? The C and the
UT.
R, the U and the T, that. And so Peyton he didn't set the world on fire when he was college, neither did Eli. And now everybody's expecting that from Arch, and they expected it yesterday. So I hope he's not hurt. I hope it's just mental and that he's able to bounce back because he is too great of a prospect not to. What about all that talk? Somebody said, well, the last 2 winners of the national championship.
Yeah, I tried to hit it the same time you were going to do it. I got it. That was a good jinx moment.
Like 20 minutes in, and then we get there he is.
Do y'all think Sark needs to hire a coordinator next year, or should he continue to call the plays?
I think he should continue to call the plays. I think he knows how to, scheme guys open. I think he needs to make sure that his offensive line recruiting is in order. This offensive line can pass protect. They don't run block very well. So the running game's been really inconsistent. I think everyone's waiting for Arch to take off, and it's shaken the confidence of some of the other guys on offense. They have had some guys out with, injuries that they don't want to put them back on the field before the Florida game because they don't need to. They shouldn't need to. So, we thought the offense would take some time to come together, but it's even worse than what we thought for sure.
Now another running back's hurt. I've never seen a team lose running backs like the Longhorns. It's a good thing they've got good recruiting and a stable of backs. You know, looking at that Florida game, DJ Lagway played the worst game of his career at any point of his career out in Willis, north of Houston. 5 interceptions. I watched them because I keep hoping the coach will get fired and maybe DJ will come to Waco, where his dad, Derek, was a 1,000-yard rusher, and replace Sawyer Robertson. Don't know if Baylor has that kind of money that Florida did, but they're in a state of disarray, and the Longhorns have got to win that game. And they're certainly capable of doing it. Zay, I didn't ask you. Do you think Sark should keep calling the plays or should hire an offensive coordinator?
I'm 50-50, John. Ask me at the end of the year, but there's moments where I'm like, okay, this guy, I get why he's one of the best and he's earning that $10 million. And then there's times where I'm like, all right, I think somebody else needs to step up and take over. And he's a proud man, that's for sure. He wants to call the plays, he wants to call the shots. This is what he's there for. So I believe in him, but yeah, we'll see at the end of the year.
What about the receivers? You know, that's last year you'd see lists of prospects at wide receiver and you'd see Longhorns. Well, the last 2 or 3 years, are the receivers good as they have been? Should the receivers be doing a better job?
I think the receivers are a question mark right now because DeAndre Moore, I think, is good, but he's been hurt. He's coming back. He'll play Saturday. Ryan Wingo had all the hype, but he hasn't matched it up with production on the field. He's not a very good blocker. And the guy they really like is a transfer from Stanford named Emmett Mosley V, who hasn't played yet because he had an ankle injury suffered in camp. So they've been disjointed. The best receiver they've got is a 3-star Parker Livingston, who's just a grinder, and their tight end transfer, Jack Endries from Cal. I think those guys are playmakers, but they're still trying to figure it out at receiver. It's not, you haven't seen anyone sort of take command like Matt Golden did starting right about now last year. And then Isaiah Bond, he ended up with an ankle injury the second half of the season that kind of, negated his effectiveness. Gunnar Helm was really good for this team last year. So, the pieces are there, John. It's all about Arch. It's all about him gaining confidence and playing like he we know he can play. We saw it against Mississippi State last year. We saw it against UTSA. He's throwing, touchdown passes all over the place. But now he's the guy and he's in the blender and, can he get out of it in time to make Texas a contender?
Got one more game.
Yeah. Who's the worst team in the NFL, do you think?
New Orleans right now. They're starting Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shuck at some point will start. They look like a genuine contender for the first pick. Cleveland was supposed to, but I think Cleveland's defense is good enough to keep them ahead of the Saints. Their defense is great. They did a tremendous job shutting down Derrick Henry, which they're always able to do, but I would say the Saints.
In Cleveland, like Green Bay plays at Cleveland, and Green Bay's been riding high. They look good. They look really good. What do you think happens in that game? Is Cleveland's defense good enough to make that interesting?
I think it is, but if you can't score touchdowns, it's going to eventually catch up to you. And I think Green Bay will win the game. Green Bay is right up there to me with Detroit and Philadelphia as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And they just keep building and taking a step forward every year. Whether it's enough to get in a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, it might be next year. But right now, the Packers just seem to be as good as there is in the NFC and maybe the NFL.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Bengals, John, and where they go? Joe Burrow out for 3 months with turf toe injury, devastating for him. Seems like he's had just an injury-ridden career, but now do they pick up somebody, a vet, just make a trade, or do they stick with Browning?
They stick with Browning. He was 4-3 as a starter 2 years ago. And he's one of those backups. They know he's not just a 1 or 2 gamer where you got to look for somebody else. He's your starter. It's a great opportunity for him. He pulled out a victory despite 3 interceptions. And so everybody feels terrible for Burrow because their offense is as good as any. Their passing game is as good as any when he's healthy. And they spent so much money on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to make sure that passing game was the best. And people hope for the best on Burrow, that he might be able to come back. But there are a lot of people saying they're not going to see him again this season.
What's your favorite game this week, John? Do you have one?
Well, it'll be the game I'm covering just because I have to see if the Texans are going to start 0-3, and then everybody here in Houston's going to go crazy. And now they've gotten fired up about the Astros again because they got the silver boot and swept the Rangers right out of Dyken Park. Now the Mariners are coming in. That's who they're battling for first place. So right now we're back to being an Astros town because people are so disappointed and disillusioned and frustrated with the Texans offense. So that'll be the one. And like tonight, that Thursday night game, who cares about the Dolphins and the Bills? Who wants to see Miami? Hell, people in Miami don't want to see Miami. They're waiting for hockey season to crank up, see if they can win a 3rd Stanley Cup. And it just Miami's become boring. And for the longest time, when Mike McDaniel was there, they were one of the most exciting teams in the NFL offensively. Remember when they put 70 on the Broncos in Sean Payton's first year?
Yeah.
A weird, really good game this weekend, John, is Arizona and San Fran. Both teams 2-0 for the top of the division so far. Who you like in this one?
The only team in that division to lose a game is Seattle, and that's Seattle lost to the 49ers. And I don't think this division can keep it up. I think Kyler Murray was brain dead this week when he posed in a Michael Vick jersey with a pit bull. And then he had to apologize the next day saying Michael Vick's was my favorite player. And, that's my dog. And you think about tone deaf. I just can't take the Cardinals as for real, but maybe they are. 49ers might get back Brock Purdy, but Mac Jones played great, had 3 touchdown passes against the Saints. Remember, when the 49ers traded 2 ones, it was 3, but they got 1 back, to move up to get Trey Lance. Everybody thought they were taking Mac Jones. Even, Chris Sims, who was really tight with Kyle Shanahan because they were best buddies with the Longhorns, was picking Mac Jones. And I'm thinking, well, if Sims is doing it, that's because he's got the answer. And then they trade for Trey Lance. And Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan finally got him, and he looked great. Now, it was against the Saints, and I'm guessing they may not rush back Brock Purdy unless he's 100%. But if Mac Jones could do that again and then win another big division game, they might have a quarterback controversy.
John, are the Chiefs, are they in trouble or are they okay?
I think they're not going to the Super Bowl because you guys know Super Bowl losers never go to the Super Bowl other than New England once, going all the way back to the 90s. But can they win the division? You'd think, sure. I mean, look who we're talking about. They got injuries at receiver and the suspension, Rashee Rice. They got problems in their offensive line. Their defense is not dominated.
Oh. We got the frozen moment, the pregnant moment, right? As John was talking about the Chiefs defense not being as dominant as we've seen. Yeah. The guy who's not making a lot of plays for the Chiefs right now is Bolden.
They're still a playoff contender, but not a Super Bowl contender.
Well, Zay, you got one more?
There's one more game I want to holler. Oh, yeah, John, the J.J. McCarthy situation with Minnesota. A lot of Minnesota fans, even after that comeback victory week 1 against the Bears, They did not like what they saw Monday Night Football against or Sunday Night Football, excuse me, against the Falcons. They're already writing J.J. McCarthy off. Do you think that's unfair? And how are you looking at Minnesota?
Say that's grossly unfair of McCarthy a week before everybody was celebrating, and then they're ready to bury him. I saw an interesting stat. Carson Wentz is the first quarterback to start a game in 6 consecutive seasons for a different team. I don't know how the guy learns all those systems. He must be one smart SOB. And I don't know if he's still good enough to help a team win. He hadn't shown that he is. If he was, he wouldn't be with a different team every year bouncing around the NFL like a pinball. So I think at some point they're going to see a more consistent McCarthy, but he's only played 2 games in his 2-year career.
Yeah.
John, huge game at McClain Stadium this weekend, 6:30 on Saturday. Arizona State, college football playoff team last year, at the Baylor Bears. The Bears are favored by 2.5. Your thoughts?
If Baylor wants to be taken seriously, if Dave Aranda wants to be taken seriously, they got to win that game. They blew the Auburn game, miraculous comeback against SMU. They crushed Samford, even though Sawyer Robertson had the worst game of his career, and he needs to bounce back. The team needs to bounce back. It's going to be like Auburn, SRO crowd. Everybody's so fired up about it. They better not lose the 2 important games at home against the SEC and now the Big 12.
All right. John, you're the best. We look forward to it every week. Have a great weekend.
Chip and Zay, guys, thank you very much. Good luck to the Longhorns against the Bearcats. Hopefully it'll be a little easier than it was those vicious UTEP Miners. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
There he is, the general. Mad Dog McClain, bringing it, the voice of reason from H-Town, NFL Insider. All right, let's get
He was on one today.
Oh, yeah. Salty John McClain is a great John McClain. I mean,
Jim Harbaugh, a cheater. He made the Kyler Murray, Mike Vick joke. Yeah, that was on one today. That was him. He's always at his best, but that was one to remember.
That's Mike Vick's my favorite player. He's my dog.
He's my dog.
Oh my God. All right, let's get a couple mentions here. Guys, if you're snoring, take advantage of this incredible partnership that we have with the Sleep Cycle Center. If you're snoring, it's more than just annoying to the person next to you. It could be the sign of a serious health issue. And you go to sleepcyclecenters.com, tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you, and they're going to take $100 off your sleep study. This is a great opportunity that folks need to take advantage of while it lasts. And look, Dr. Chad Denman, he's a foremost expert in treating sleep apnea. He's passionate about it because sleep apnea killed his own father at the age of 60. And so he's got the best technology to detect sleep apnea, the level of sleep apnea, and all of the treatment options, from oral appliance, like I have a mouth guard that holds my lower jaw open so I get that oxygen when I'm sleeping, to surgery. Whatever you need, you're going to get the best diagnosis and the best treatment from the Sleep Cycle Center. Locations in Lakeway and at the Arboretum. Take advantage of that opportunity right now with our partnership. Go to sleepcyclecenters.com. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. And Cover 3, what a great spot. I mean, best place to hang out with your friends and get great food, great service, great drinks with a great vibe. And don't forget about brunch on the weekends. I mean, you need to take your girl out or your partner out for a nice brunch, and then you're already set up for the games. You got brunch starts at 11 a.m. on the weekends there at Cover 3. The do-it-yourself Bloody Mary bar. I love the breakfast quesadilla. But you got Thursday night football tonight. You got football. Cover 3 is your your football season headquarters for great food, great drinks, and watching your favorite team. Cover 3 Anderson and Cover 3 Round Rock. And look, when you're ready for the big screen television of your dreams, then there's no other place to go than AV Consultations. In Austin, Texas, our man Tom McKay is the guru. He's been doing it for 30 plus years. He's going to bring you the best price on big screens, so you don't need to go traipsing around to the box stores, lugging 80-inch TVs around in a truck. Just let Tom and his crew bring everything to you. They're the experts. You're busy. You got things to do. And he's ready and waiting for you. Can bring you the big screen of your dreams, surround sound, surveillance, electronic shades, new lighting, you name it, anything audio or visual. Turn to Audio Visual Consultations, avconsultations.com, and the phone number is 255-8678. All right, Zay. Let's get to the chip shot. And here's, going back to the Steve Sarkeesian media availability today, I thought there were a couple points in there that I found interesting. One is he did confirm that DeAndre Moore will be back on the field following the concussion he suffered against San Jose State. He sat out last week, but he will be playing this week. You're not going to see Quintravian Wisner. You're not going to see Alex January. You're not going to see Emmett Mosley. And so, Steve Sarkeesian said there were some younger players that he wants to see. Jonah Williams. Let's go. Jonah Williams. What an athlete. What a specimen. We saw him, make an impact on the Texas baseball team. The guy stepped right in and started hitting. We know he's got wheels. He wants to play center field. Looks like he's going to get to play center field because Will Gasparino has transferred out of the program. So Jonah Williams is available. He's been, fighting through that hamstring injury. So I'm looking forward to seeing number 9 out there. He was the top ranked recruit in Texas's number 1 ranked recruiting class, 2025 recruiting class. And the guy's got swag. The guy's got juice. And he's built like he's built like Kyle Hamilton. I mean, he's 6'3" put together, man. So I'm not going to lie. I'm super excited to see Jonah Williams. Steve Sarkeesian also mentioned Nick Brooks, the behemoth freshman offensive lineman, 6'7", and 3 Bills, 349. That's a big fella right there.
Very.
And he's a guy that they are excited about. He's not the polished product that a Kelvin Banks was, but they're very excited about what he can bring to the table. And Nate Kibble was mentioned. Nate Kibble, guard. And so, obviously DJ Campbell played every snap of last week's game. Brandon Baker has been, up and down, but his pass blocking was really good last week. And there was only one offensive penalty was on DJ Campbell for false start. So they need to get that cleaned up. But Sarkeesian also mentioned, Daniel Cruz. Cole Hudson's got turf toe. I don't think you'll see him Saturday. I think he wants to play, but I think they'll hold him. You'll have Connor Robertson and maybe Daniel Cruz, who they like as the center of the future. So some names to consider. And we are seeing Ryan Niblett in more packages and in that Keelan Robinson, Jaden Blue type role And Sarkeesian talked about that today, saying he loves how hard Ryan Niblett has worked, and he loves his 10-3 speed in the 100. So if Arch can distribute the ball with some confidence, we should see this offense looking fast and
furious.
I won't say fast and furious because right now, how about fast and functional?
All right. I guess we'll take that at this point. We didn't get a chance to talk about this because Lance jumped on when we were discussing it, but the NATO U situation and him not getting any reps against UTEP and Connor Stroh getting all those reps at left guard. Like, he was a healthy scratch, which means he was available. It wasn't an injury or anything, but to go from getting reps and basically splitting reps with Connor Stroh the week prior against San Jose State to nada, that's weird, Chip. Like, is he in the doghouse for something that we don't know about, that they're keeping that close to the chest? Because,
well, we've talked about how he can get, the emotional swings. He can be playing well 1 minute and then he can get frustrated and it starts to affect his play.
I mean, can we allow him to even get a chance to show us?
Oh, listen, I'm with you.
If he ain't playing, then how can we even tell?
I mean,
are we all based on practice?
Right. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Something happened. He must have speculation. He must have said something wild to Kyle Flood or Sark or.
Oh, here we go.
That's you. Hey, I got to. I have to act this way. I don't want to be like this, Chip. I don't want to.
Well, why don't you wait and see what happens this week? Because Connor Stroh.
Have time to wait. Life is precious. We don't have time to wait, man.
Connor Stroh was not. He didn't have a great game against the Miners.
That's what I'm saying. Connor Stroh ain't no Quentin Nelson. If Connor Stroh was Quentin Nelson, then I'd be like, okay, it's hard to play over Quentin Nelson, one of the best interior linemen of all time. But Connor Stroh, he ain't that. So I'm confused, Steve. What happened to Neto's reps, man? What happened? What's going on? I feel like that deserves big spoon activity. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure Texas fans are wondering the same thing.
Well, let me tell you what Pro Football Focus thinks of Texas's offensive linemen right now. Right now, Trevor Goosby's the highest rated. Well, Trevor Goosby's the highest rated player on offense through 3 games. Jack Endries is number 2. Contravian Wisner 3. Arch Manning is 4. Believe it or not. But Nate Kibble is your highest rated guard. He's only played 10 snaps. Then it's Connor Robertson, who's only played 29 snaps. And then it's DJ Campbell. Then it's Jaden Chapman. Then Neto. And then Cole Hudson. And then Brandon Baker. And down there at the bottom is Connor Stroh. Now, again, he's struggling in run blocking and he's got a 72 rating in pass blocking, which is above average. You'll take it. So that offensive line is a work in progress. And here's the thing. It's also about your communication. It's also about how you're communicating and passing guys off if they're twisting, all that stuff. So I think there's concern. Texas did not go into the portal for an offensive lineman and for a veteran offensive lineman. So you got a bunch of guys who don't have a ton of college reps. And I admire that Kyle Flood has said, we like who we've got. We're developing them. But you have probably 2 years with Arch Manning. We talked about this. Quinn Ewers got to play with Kelvin Banks for
3 years.
3 years. He got to play with Jake Majors for 3 years, Hayden Connor for 3 years. And and Arch Manning's playing with a bunch of guys who have hardly played. So, or they're in new positions where they haven't played, like Cole Hudson. So, yeah, this is a work in progress because Texas's running game. I went back and watched it again because I had a coach say these running backs don't know where to hit the hole, and that's true. Like Jarek Gibson and Christian Clark were missing where to hit the hole, and I thought James Simon played really well. I think James Simon's going to get, I don't know if he's going to get 17 carries against Sam Houston, but he's going to get quite a few. So,
yeah.
And the running game has not really taken off unless Arch is running.
Right.
So that's a concern. And that's also happening with OU. So everyone who's glossing OU, I get it. They got some guys, some receivers who are making some plays. But their running game is almost completely dependent on John Mateer. So,
yeah. And I said it yesterday, man. Like Chad Scott, you probably weren't expecting to have CJ Baxter and Contrarian Wisner not available. You're earning your paycheck now, Chad, because Tashard Choice, I feel like a lot of Texas fans will feel a lot more secure if Tashard Choice was handling these problems. That's not fair to Chad Scott because he hasn't had much time on campus, but hey, what can you do? Nobody feels sorry for you. You got to figure it out. You got to get these guys going to the right spots to where they're not second guessing themselves, given especially with Christian Clark's situation coming back from the Achilles, that it might take him some time. But Jared Gibson should be there. Like Jared Gibson, that jump from last year to this year, that should be very easy to tell, and you can't tell yet. He seems like the same freshman so far. He's had some good runs, but he seems like the same player from last year. And as far as development goes, I need to see more from that. Hopefully we can see that on Saturday, but
I want to see James Simon in some short yardage situations, like that 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 situation. Because James Simon plays with confidence, and he carries people a yard or two going forward when he's going down. He falls forward, gets you that extra 1 or 2 yards, which coaches love, obviously. And the guy's got some shiftiness.
Yeah, he's got some wiggle.
Got a little bit of wiggle. You may have found your, short yardage guy.
Yeah, give me some wiggle, man. Just a little bit, Sooner Cowboys, big weekend, Sooner Cowboys, Jackson Arnold Bowl. That they were favored 7.5. That's a lot. That's a lot, man. Jackson Arnold, he coming in pissed off. Y'all got rid of John Mateer for me and Chip. That John Mateer and Jackson Arnold got history. We didn't know that back in their high school days. Little Elm High School versus Denton Geyer. Jackson Arnold versus John Mateer. Jackson Arnold lit up John Mateer and them boys. John Mateer had a tough game, 3 interceptions. They lost by 20. So you've always been better than John Mateer, Jackson Arnold, and now they got rid of you for the guy that you were curb stomping in high school. Oh yeah, it's personal. It's personal. Sooner Cowboys, I hope that energy's there. 38-10. All right. We'll see. I'm excited about that game. That will be a fun hate watch for me.
Yeah.
Fun hate watch. But speaking of Sooners, we're going to be talking some Sooner stuff here for the right call. Before that, though, shout out to Covert BK, family owned and operated, the best in the biz. Wifey and I love Covert BK. Got our Buick Encore GX from there, and it couldn't be just a better car vehicle for us, and you will find a vehicle for you. If you don't want to take my word for it, listen to these fine folks at Covert BK.
You see Covert everywhere. It's that personal level of just feeling like it's a personal family interaction.
The customer service, it's impeccable. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced buying a car.
Over the 30 years that I've been buying cars from them, I feel like I know them and they know me.
Covert's done an amazing job of making me feel valued. If you purchase a vehicle and you want to feel like you're part of a family,
Join the Covert family.
Come and experience it for yourself.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. So before we get to that petty Sooner talk, first off, I know that you and a lot of other Texas fans will be traveling to Start Vegas for the first time. Starkville, Mississippi for the Texas-Mississippi State game. And now I know a lot of Texas fans went to the college baseball series, so some are familiar with Stark Vegas, but a lot of y'all will be going to that great part of Mississippi to face the Bulldogs for the first time. And right now, Mississippi State, they're popping, man. 3-0, beat Arizona State a couple of weekends ago. And shout out to CB, best voluntary producer of all time. He sent me this. This is what they're promoting in Starkville, Mississippi, at the Pony, the strip joint in Stark Vegas. They got biscuits and gravy wrestling next weekend, the 27th of September. So if you're going to Mississippi State in October and you want to do some stuff outside of football, yo, hit up the Pony, man. Hit up the Pony. I need to hit up BK and ask when we could do some shows from there that weekend. You know what I'm saying? Because that would be fun. Take Texas Sports Unfiltered there, because I'm trying to see some biscuits and gravy wrestling. That sounds.
Oh my goodness!
That's right up my alley. Because that's if if somebody asks, yo, what's Starkville, Mississippi like? Show them this promo right here. You know what I'm saying? This looks like a good time. You know?
Oh yeah.
Mud wrestling, but instead gravy, biscuits and gravy. Sounds like a good time. Like, this is what America's about right here.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So yeah, put this down. Don't let Eleanor see you good. This is where the journalism degree comes in. You know what I'm saying? This is for research. This ain't for, just to see what it's like. Because I've never seen biscuits and gravy. Like, is the biscuit, is it gonna be in like the ring or whatever they use? They use like the blow up water, blow up pools for these events.
Yeah. Yeah, remember Old School, You're My Boy Blue?
Yeah.
They're in that little tub.
Okay.
Little blow-up pool or whatever.
No.
I mean, it looks like they're standing in the blow-up pool right there in the Pony strip joint ad.
Yo, that's on another note, this is nasty, man. Gravy, I like seeing women in a lot of ways. I don't know how long I could take this. Like, I have to see it. Like, I have to see. Somebody needs to catch it on video. I got to see what the hell this is. But, yeah, for Longhorn fans, try to make that trip. Mississippi State, here you go. Yeah, see?
CB.
I don't know if that's a good thing, CB, that when you see
done.
this, you think of me.
Oh, no, it's a good thing. PMC, baby.
Yo, I'm also very honored that you would think of me when you see the women of the Pony. But absolutely terrific. Oh, yeah. All right.
Well, by the way,
go ahead.
I don't mean to hijack the how long have I been saying this?
SMU phases out Pony Up. Oh, so y'all aren't doing Pony Up anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's Mustangs run, Thunder on. Mustangs.
That's not gonna work. It's just gonna make people want to call y'all Pony more.
No, Mustangs. They kick your brains in. They're wild, bucking horses. Dangerous. They kick through corrals.
Y'all supposed to be tough. Why y'all being sensitive? Come on, Pony Up. That's a good time. Those are fun.
Pony Up sounds like the rich are asking for people to give them more money.
Okay.
It's Mustangs. Mustangs are dangerous.
Okay. All right. I'll let you live.
Anyway, carry on.
All right. So
I figured you'd have some fun with that.
I definitely had a little fun with it. All right. So on to the Sooner talk. I told you before the show, when I have these conflicting feelings, it's weird. It's weird on your boy because I'm supposed to hate every Sooner. Like I'm liking Baker Mayfield right now. And now Trey Young is growing up. Trey freaking Young. Trey Young from Norman, Oklahoma. He's from Norman. Not only did he go to OU, he's from Norman. And now he's
even though his dad is a Red Raider, but anyway.
Yeah, his dad's a Red Raider, so I guess he has a little bit of Texas in him. I don't know. But Trey Young, that guy, I could root for him a little bit more now, and I'll tell you why. So him and Patrick Beverly, your favorite defender, they're going through a feud right now because Pat Bev on his show, they were talking about the All-Star game, why guys don't play hard in an All-Star game. And Pat Bev was talking about how they should and this, that, and the third. Trey Young tweeted at that video saying, yo, man, you need to relax and chill and mind your business. Basically saying this is all-star talk. Pat Bev, you are not an all-star, never have been an all-star. You don't have a say in all-star talk. So it's pretty disrespectful. Very disrespectful move from Trey Young. Pat Bev then responds by saying, Trey, paraphrasing here, my career compared to your career, there ain't no comparison because I'm a winner and you are not. Now, Pat Bev, I don't know if you should have gone that far because, yes, Pat Bev, if you make it to the NBA, that's a hell of an honor, a hell of an accomplishment. Not many guys do that. You have to have a certain sort of skill level, talent to make it to the league and last as long as Pat Bev has, especially at his role. Ultimate defender, ultimate teammate. Is he crazier than a road lizard? Absolutely. But sometimes you need those guys. But Pat Bev, he overstepped this time because Trey Young is a perennial all-star. Trey Young is the franchise player for his team, the Atlanta Hawks. So for him to compare himself to Trey Young, there is no comparison. Trey Young's up here and Pat Bev's down here. It doesn't mean that Pat Bev ain't worth a damn, but let's respect Trey Young here, especially at Trey Young's size. Pound for pound, Trey Young's one of the most skilled players of all time. It hates me to say that. Oh, I feel like, vomit's already coming up for me to say something like that, but it's true. You got to respect Trey Young. Does he play D? Not really, but offensively, Trey Young, look at the stats. He can fill it up. He's an amazing passer too. And Trey Young had something to say to Pat Bev to where it might be one of the biggest diss videos I've ever seen in my life. I got a little bit of it. He went on for 11 minutes, Chip, bashing Pat Bev. I only got 2 minutes, and I'm not going to play the full 2, but
this is like Kendrick and Drake.
Oh, it's petty. It's right up my alley. Listen to how Trey Young responded to Patrick Beverly.
You said it. You went to the playoffs 9 times. I've only been to the playoffs 3. You're right. You have 6 more playoff appearances than me. Let's bring up some more facts. You've been to 1 conference finals. I've been to 1 conference finals. What year was that for you? Just another fact, year 9. The year I made it was year 3. Just a fact. You want to know another one? You averaged 7 points and 2 is. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like I'm really not even here to talk about my numbers, but here they are. Let's get into some more facts. Actually, you talk about a winner. What have you won? Tell me, what have you won? And don't respond with that like sympathy. I won in life. I won in basketball because you did, man. You made it to the NBA. There's very few many people that can say that. But at the same time, bro, it's levels to this shit. It's just different timetables. I get it. You're a little bit later into your career. I was 19, about to be 20, going into my rookie season. Do you want to know your age going into your rookie season? You were 24, your first year in the NBA. So you're talking about uncomfortable. Man, you don't know what uncomfortable is. You talk about winning and impact winning and all these things. You've been on some teams with some big-time players. How about I go through a list of these guys? LeBron.
So he goes through the list, and it's 11 minutes straight of just bashing Pat Bev. I've never seen anybody throw anyone under the mud like this before. And it was fire. I appreciated it from Trey Young because he didn't have to do this. He's above Pat Bev in many ways. He did not have to retaliate. And now this is another Sooner that's just earned my respect. And now you got a Trey Young fan. I feel like Trey Young's a big reason why Chavez is in Oklahoma with the Jordan deal and the Nike deal and all that stuff. But yeah, man, it was – I had to listen to the whole 12 minutes. If you're looking for a good laugh, check that out because, wow, it was tough. So Pat Bev, man, hope he's doing well. But, yeah, he's going to have to pick his head up out the toilet after that one.
All right, let's bring in Patrick and Matt. Open up the gym. What's up, fellas?
I did know Zay was a fan of punching down. Zay, a fan of taking after the guy who's got less than you. Zay going after the little man over there. But Kyler Murray, that's the most punk Trey Young. What a joke. It's like he ordered the worst cameo on the planet. Can you give me a cameo like we're both NBA players? First of all, Trey Young, you suck. You're not a winner. You made the conference finals when everybody got hurt. And you can't be better than a 7 seed, and they get you players every year, and then they got to get rid of them because they play a million times worse with you. And then you make it, and then you come out and you keep pretending that it's everybody else's fault that you can't win. Play defense. Once in your life, play defense. And maybe you'll be better.
There you go, Zay. You don't have to worry about loving a Sooner.
By the way, it's 402 and OU still sucks. And everybody went there sucks too.
I was about to say, what has Trey Young ever won? He's never won anything.
No, he hasn't won anything team-wise.
This argument, he won an 11-minute argument with himself that he's better than Pat Bev, which anyone who's ever watched a basketball game could have told you.
Hey, yo, I slide to nowhere, man. Yo, I was the first one to clown my man Kyler Murray for rocking the Vic jersey with the pit bull. Like, it's still there, for real. But I will give credit where it's due. I appreciated Trey Young speaking out on Pat Bev. Pat Bev needed a humbling. He needed some humbling. He needed it.
But here's this. Just all you got to do is go, hey, don't worry about it. Also, you should worry about the All-Star game because they're going to have to get rid of it because guys like me refuse to put up an effort whatsoever in it. Yeah. Because I have no care for the lineage of basketball and the history that I haven't even gone back and watched the 1995 and watched those dudes try and kill themselves because they wanted to prove they were better. I don't care. I don't want to play basketball. I don't really want to be here. I'd like to play in the gym, but you know what? You know the thing I get paid millions of dollars for? Screw the fans. Screw everybody else. I don't like anybody. There
you go, Zay.
What a joke.
Hey.
I love you guys.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, guys.
I love you, Zay, man. I'm just having a good time. Just having a good time on a Thursday.
Okay.
Anytime I got to put down a Sooner.
Well, okay, but like, I get that, like, Pat Bev has a big mouth, but is Trey Young really the one that needs to step up and put Pat Bev down? No,
well, you don't.
Trey Young doesn't have anything on his resume that he can really say, oh, you know, I'm this amazing player. I mean, Pat Bev is he's a joke and he's a meme.
No, I mean,
he's like Rashad McCants, but he had a little bit of an NBA career.
No, and like it's the whole concept of I didn't know about Pat Bev said that, and now Trey Young makes more people realize that Pat Bev has a show, but like he's just giving him free publicity. It's so ridiculous. It's so dumb. It's just what a Sooner would do to sit in a room by yourself. Go book yourself on another podcast and then like talk trash about him there. That's what a grown adult does. They don't just go in their room and go, you know, I've researched that you're not better than me. Yeah, I watched 5 minutes of basketball. He's not better than you. We're aware he's not that level of player. We get that. Yeah, and Trey Young, he's just not. He doesn't really play winning basketball very often. He's good. He's really good, but he's more in that Russell Westbrook camp of guys that's really, really good, but something's off, and he can't win games at a high level with it. So, like, at the peak of his powers, he could do it, but he doesn't really make people around him better. He doesn't really win a ton of games on that level. So he's a good player. Was that his podcast? He has his own podcast, and he just did 11 minutes on. He needs better content. He needs better content than that. Go on someone else's podcast to talk trash. Don't sit in a room by yourself. That's why me and Matt do it. I don't sit in a room by myself being a weirdo. I'm glad the Spurs and I would have been so mad if the Spurs got him. I was not for that one at all. Also, a shout out to Matt's best friend, Clayton Kershaw, retiring, announcing his retirement today.
Yeah, at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, yeah. I know you and him go way back, Matt.
Yeah, we went to high school together. I didn't know him very well. I knew Stafford a lot better, but he's a nice guy. Always been cheering for him. He's had a great career. He's done enough. It's time for him to ride off into the sunset and be remembered as one of the best pitchers in MLB history.
Do you think Stafford already called him and told him he's soft for retiring?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. I figure. Like, come on, man.
I have a back injury and I'm playing a contact sport. You can't keep going. Come on.
You know he was. Welcome to the show, by the way. It's Open Gym here. Patrick Davis alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI. Text line's open, 512-222-9328. And, of course, on the chat, Facebook, Twitch, X, and on YouTube. Join the conversation there. Bobby Lane also went to that high school there, Matt, in Highland Park?
Yeah, Bobby Lane. A lot of guys. Scotty Scheffler. You can go on and on down the list. It's very very surprising how many professional athletes have come out of that high school.
Yeah. I mean, certain people, certain places seem to do quite well for themselves. It's like Westlake and Lake Travis. I was explaining to someone the other day, we're talking about players in the NFL and where they come from. And like Dallas just has so many of them. And then it was like getting into the conversation of, and I was like, she's like, oh, Austin has to have some people. And I'm like, we have quarterbacks. We produce quarterbacks at a really high level. Like that's what we've got a lot of quarterbacks from two different high schools. Other than that, it's not quite the same. There's a few more players getting up there now. But yeah, it's a lot of quarterbacks are what we're famous for.
Another one, Chris Young, Rangers GM, former MLB pitcher. He's a Highland Park kid. There's a couple quarterbacks in college right now. There's a lot of guys. It's surprising because you walk into Highland Park High School and you're like, I don't see a lot of athletes walking around here. But they keep producing professional athletes in all kinds of different sports, so it's pretty cool. Obviously, I wasn't one of them, but
but you know all about it, Matt, and that's why we love you here on the show.
Yep.
We're going to get to our SEC rankings later in the show. I think there's going to be a few changes moving around on that. When I was looking at our list of last week's list, I think we're gonna get a little bit more honed in as we keep going into this week. But that'll be in the Sour 2, so we'll do that about 5 o'clock. But let's start off. Sark did speak to the media today, Matt, and so we've got some audio from Sark that we'll be listening to today and getting us ready for Sam Houston. Once again, we are not in the part of the season where a lot of questions about the other team. I think maybe one mentioned Phil Longo, but it was about Texas. But we're not getting into that part of the season yet. So not necessarily the most information about your opponent, which is not wildly surprising. But if I can get this to work here in a second, we'll play you. The first piece of audio I want to play you is the injury kind of update from Sark, and I put two things together in this to give you the entire synopsis of the bigger injuries for Texas. Here's Sark giving you a little injury update today.
Trey is making really good progress right now. I would say he's doubtful for Saturday, but I've been impressed with the progress that he's making. Again, this provides another opportunity for these other three backs of kind of their growth. And again, we're seeing some really positive signs out of these guys. We're seeing plenty of room for improvement. And then this is the goal for them, is from 1 week to the next to continue to improve in all facets of their game.
All right. I didn't have a correct one in there, but we'll go with it. He also mentioned DeAndre Moore is back, should return in this game. And he also said Emmett Mosley probably not back in this game so far. We may get to another clip too. Jonah Williams looks like he will now return and get a little bit of playing time if there's time for him to get into the game. That he's excited to see him. So that would be nice to see Jonah Williams. But DeAndre Moore coming back, is one of those pieces we've talked about a lot, Matt, of getting some of the veteran leadership back. So you'd love to get Trey Wisner back, especially because CJ Baxter is going to be out as well. But it does not look like Trey Wisner. They're going to try and get him back. They're going to try and get him super, like whatever it is enough that they don't want to make sure that he's coming back early. But to get DeAndre Moore back is going to help this team out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he provides the veteran presence out there that, we talked about. It's not just about his production. It's about, if Arch is like, hey, if Arch throws a couple incompletions and he's getting in his head a little bit, DeAndre Moore can just walk over to him, slap him in the helmet and get him out of it. Or, getting guys lined up in the right places on the line and doing all those things that like Jordan Whittington used to do with Quinn Ewers and with those other receivers. It's kind of a similar situation there. And hey, he's an explosive guy. He can make plays in the passing game. I think you'll feel a lot better out there with him in the slot rather than Dalen McCutcheon or Ryan Niblett. Like, no disrespect to those guys, but DeAndre Moore is just a better player. So it'll be a big win to get him back on the field. I'm glad he's gotten through his concussion protocol. But the Jonah Williams thing is surprising to me because like a week or two ago it was like he's out indefinitely, and now he has a chance to play this week, so that could be really big. He's he has an opportunity to be a really impact player in the secondary if he can, sort of come along quickly because his athletic gifts are just incredible. And he's one of those guys that can make an impact anytime he's on the field.
Sark also mentioned a little bit about DeAndre Moore's impact this week and the impact he will have coming back. So we'll play that clip for you right now from his media availability today.
Oh, he definitely brings the juice. He's a Energizer bunny. He's one of the few guys really that was a mainstay starter for us a year ago, that has played a lot of football and has a lot of confidence and can fix things on the field when maybe something's a little bit off because of his experience of lining a guy up or making sure a certain guy's running a certain route or, recognition of coverages, when the ball snapped. And so, his experience is invaluable. Obviously, his confidence, I think, uplifts a lot of confidence in other players that are on the field with him, and not only on game day, but to your point, in practice and in the meeting room. So I do think it'll be great to have him back.
So there's a little bit more about from Sark on DeAndre Moore and what it means to bring him back. And, you can tell that with the bringing the juice is kind of still that stuff we talk about, the veteran leadership and just trying to get these guys to feel something other than kind of being down on themselves constantly. And, it just feels like on the sideline in the game, the offense is so, I don't know what the right word is, timid. They don't look like they have any confidence and they don't look like they're really trying to go out there and kill you. And it's mind-boggling because you're not playing great teams. And I don't know, like it feels like the pressure of the world is on their shoulders and you just have to start to go out there and play at a certain point. Here's Sark talking about, he was asked a question. It was a pretty good question of basically, are you seeing the same thing at practice from Arch as you're seeing in the games? And we know all offseason we heard about Arch was the one talking a bunch of trash at practice and he was bringing in everything else. And you're like, there's no way that Arch is the same Arch we're seeing out on the field because he does not seem to be talking much trash the last few weeks. Here's Sark talking about Arch if Arch practices differently than he's been playing the last couple weeks.
No, I would say no. I would say we get a little different version in practice, and so naturally that's kind of what I'm talking about is that ability to take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and play with that same kind of confidence and intent on Saturday. And so that's the part for us is that we see and we know what it looks like. My goal is that you all get to see that. And that's what we're striving for. He's had a great week. So I've been proud of him for that.
So I set that up wrong. He asked him if they practice the same. So when he says no, he was saying he's been practicing differently and he looks different in practice. But we know that. We know that he has to be practicing differently because things would be changing much quicker if you're trying to implement plays and going through walkthroughs and, getting your scrimmages ready and Arch looks awful. You'd say, okay, things have got to change. But if he's practicing well and then comes out in the game and starts to get off on those, that's where you have hope having a DeAndre Moore maybe is one of the pieces to start calming him down a little bit and let him have some fun. When DeAndre Moore maybe gets a reception, is able to come back to the huddle and, pick Arch up a little bit more, that the 7-yard gain was a good thing and not, all right, we got it. It's still 2nd and 3. No, man, let's celebrate this right now and then start working and start building down, because you just start having to get some sort of juice going for this Texas team in the offense, because right now it's juiceless, Matt. Juiceless, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I this is a fixable thing to me. The game is moving too fast for Arch right now, and he's moving too fast. And it seems like he's not doing that in practice. It seems like he's on schedule in practice, and he knows where guys are supposed to be in practice. So it's just about making that transition from taking that what you're doing in practice to implementing it into the game and not getting overwhelmed by the stage. And that's something that takes a young quarterback a little bit of time to do sometimes. He's not the first quarterback that's ever struggled at the beginning of his career as a starter. And he'll eventually figure it out. And that's kind of having a cascading effect on the rest of the offense in terms of their confidence level on game days, because you feed off of your quarterback. Every time your quarterback is struggling, it seems like the rest of your offense starts to struggle. And it's going to be kind of incumbent on guys like DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo and these other receivers and Jack Endries and guys like that to not let Arch, stay in that mindset. So, yeah, I mean, look, he's had a great week of practice. Sark said he had a great week of practice. That's great. I think he's had a great week of practice all 3 weeks of the regular season and all through training camp. I don't care that he had a great week of practice. What I care about is if he's going to be able to do it on game day. And I think that this week he's going to have a really good opportunity to do that. I think you mentioned this, I think it was on Monday, maybe it was on Tuesday, that every single week there has been a different issue with Arch.
It's every quarter, every half.
Each half. Every half, there's a different issue. And I feel like he's fixing the things that he's done wrong for the most part, but then something else goes wrong. I think you're kind of running out of things that are going wrong.
That's the hope, man.
He's kind of gotten to the point where he's gonna be kind of hitting on all strides, hopefully. Obviously, that remains to be seen. Sam Houston State has an atrocious pass defense, so you're going to have every opportunity in the world to find open receivers, more than likely. So we'll see how it goes. I'm tired of this. Is probably a little bit, short-sighted or whatever. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'm tired of people asking Arch questions in press conferences about the same stuff. It's like, well, what are you seeing out of Arch? Like, how is he? It's like, okay, we get it. Sark's going to say the same thing every single time. And I get it's your job to ask that as a reporter. And I would do the same thing probably if I was asking questions in this press conference. But at a certain point, it's just like, okay, we get it. He's struggling. And Sark just says, okay, he's having a great week of practice. We feel really good. He's a good player. I'm excited to see what he's going to do once he gets things figured out. But it's like, let's try and find a different way to ask these questions. I don't really know. I don't know how to. It's just this whole narrative is getting a little bit old to me. Every week
it is. But I think it's getting old because it keeps being not good, and so the question becomes: were we all just completely off base, and is Arch not the guy? Which I don't think. We don't really believe. But you're like, if he can't play in stadiums and have pressure. That's it. And CB, I don't think it's mandatory. Arch does. I think he meant talking to Sark, because Arch is going to get the questions about it because it's Arch. But he meant to say Sark getting the questions about Arch Manning.
Yes, but there's every week it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Even when Arch has a good game against San Jose State, which it wasn't perfect, obviously, but he threw for 295 yards and scored 5 touchdowns. It's still the same things that are in the media every single week.
Yep.
Arch Manning struggles. How is Arch Manning going to do this? You should still have confidence in Arch Manning. Urban Meyer is selling his stock in Arch Manning. Todd McShay says Arch Manning is not going to go into the NFL draft this year. It's like, can we just I get this is not possible because it's today's media landscape that we live in, and everybody wants to know everything about Arch all the time. But can we just let the kid get through like a few starts before we completely throw him under the bus and think that he's this gigantic bust? I mean, like On3 came out with Ari Wasserman and what's the other guy's name? The two guy show that they do, and they were like going back like Arch is terrible. Arch is the worst quarterback ever. And then Barstool Sports comes out, sell all your stock in Arch Manning. He's an awful quarterback. It's like he's had 3 starts. Can we just like relax and let?
No, it's the media that like DJ Lagway played well in like 3 games last year and he was going to be the best quarterback, and Arch Manning played well in 3 games last year and he was going to be the best quarterback, because when the sample size is smaller, then it becomes easier to say, well, you saw what he did that was good, because there's just such a small sample size of it. When you get to put it all, I think the bigger question is, the bigger part of it is, can Texas make this offense work? And is Texas a legitimate team this year, or is Texas a bowl team? They a bowl team or they a playoff team? And that's the question that we're still trying to figure out, because we can say we'll give them a couple weeks, but we can't say they're going to beat Florida and they're going to beat Oklahoma and they're going to beat Georgia. Or they like right now they're not there yet, because the offense as a whole has not been there. And CB's right. In one side, the stage is about to get a whole lot bigger in conference play on the road for a month straight. The positive about this, again, though, for Matt, what we're saying is that every half has been a different story. But if it was just he was awful at Ohio State and then was awesome for 3 weeks, I'd be more worried about him going back on the road. But I don't know how much it's the road versus the home versus playing against a team. Like, all of that seems to not really matter as much as his own personal world and his own head. Because if we take away and say, if we go, oh, well, he struggled against Ohio State, but he put up 70 points against San Jose. He put up 50 against UTEP, and he's going to put up 70 against Sam Houston. Then you go, what's going to happen on the road? Is it a road thing? Is it playing a better opponent? It's in his head. All of it for 6 straight quarters now has been in his head. So, we still don't know. Is he an A+ quarterback? A B+ quarterback, C+ quarterback? We have no idea, because I don't think we've seen the real Arch Manning yet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and so I'm with you on that, Matt. It is frustrating because everybody does it. It is a media cycle. Content has to be made at all times. So you're going to talk about a lot of different things, and Arch Manning is going to get more clicks than most because going to Texas, that there's a ton of people who are going to root for you and a whole hell of a lot more that wish your demise. That is what playing at Texas or rooting for Texas is. So it is frustrating for sure to deal with that. That being said, Sark was asked, I believe by Joe Cook, about catching the football and saying this is a complete offensive effort. So yes, the wide receivers, Arch has had his struggles, but how can the wide receivers help? How can the wide receivers help out Arch Manning a little bit more to make that connection, to get that little bit of help, to make sure that you're sure-handed, that if he's going to miss a couple, that when that ball's coming in, you make a sure-handed catch and don't drop any. Here's what Sark had to say about the wide receivers helping out in this offense and catching the ball.
Yeah, I think one is being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, right? That's the first part of it all, especially when you're playing zone coverage. The spacing is so important to be where you're supposed to be at the right depth at the right time. The second is having the ability to win your one-on-one when it is man coverage, and so that you can escape man coverage and win versus man coverage. And third, make a play. I think, everybody wants the perfect pass. Everybody wants to catch the perfect pass. But time and time again, we see so many players making plays on the ball, and our guys have more than enough ability to make plays on the football. I just think that's, like I said, carrying over practice to the game, and that belief and that confidence that they can and they will. And we've really been celebrating that with them this week, of going and making plays and then celebrating that playmaking ability. I likened it to kind of our defense right now. I would say our defense is having a little more fun than our offense right now. They're playing with a little more energy. They're playing a little more excitement. They're playing with more confidence. Well, all that stems from playing well. You know, they're getting the benefit of playing well. They're building their confidence. They're having more fun. But as you're having fun playing, you play a little bit more loose. You play a little bit more free. You play with a little bit more confidence. And so if we can get our offensive players starting to feel and play more like that, I think we'll see more playmaking from those guys when the ball's in the air. But we've got to build that confidence through execution, and that's the whole idea of taking practice to the game.
There we go. There's Sark today speaking about how the rest of the offense and the wide receivers and everything can start to come together a little bit better and just start to rebuild that confidence that you felt like you had going into the season. You play a good defense in week 1, and the game just speeds up a little too fast for some of the young guys. You get some injuries early in the season, and it all kind of comes apart, but you're fine. You know, as much as we can say that, you're 2-1. You'll be 3-1 after this weekend, and you get to go into your SEC schedule. So you're fine. You know, you knew the Ohio State you thought you should win it, but you knew it wasn't the end of the world if you lost it. You're not anywhere you don't need to be in the world of voting and everything else and what you want to be as a team. Also, to win the SEC, you're 0-0 in the SEC. All of your goals are still very much there. And everything in the offense, we showed you all 22, we'll show you working and things that are there, and they're just not fully connecting yet. Or you get a drop catch or something like that. All of that stuff is there. So once you can get it rolling just a little bit more, then we can get back on track and everything starts going. So once we get to that point, I think that, you know, that's where you go. And you'd love to see this week be one where, again, you don't even really want to see at this point. You don't need to see Arch go 29 for 30 and 6 touchdowns because it doesn't really mean a ton. Now you go, well, I would appreciate seeing it. But, you know, it's not like, okay, the problem's going to be automatically fixed in 2 weeks, and we know we're fine. But I think you just want to see him hit some guys in stride, feel like the playbook's working, feel like things are going in. You want to see him hit guys that you want to make plays to receivers where the receivers are open, they're in the spots they're supposed to be in, they make sure-handed catches, and you try and make some plays after the catch. I think that you'd love to see this week.
Yeah, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again because I think it's an important thing to consider when you're watching this game on Saturday. Is it's not about how many yards Arch throws for, or how, like, just like Patrick said, it doesn't matter if he goes 29 for 30 for 450 yards and 6 touchdowns. What you want to see him is get the ball out on time and hit the receivers in the chest. And the way that he's going through his progressions, how his footwork is, how he's, you know, progressing through his reads and his mechanics and all those things, and doing all the things that we talked about on the show this week in terms of just, you know, not rushing and not pressing and being comfortable in your own skin and being confident. Against a team like this who has such an atrocious pass defense, it doesn't matter what your stats are. It matters how you execute. And it matters that the receivers are in the right spots and that he's seeing those guys more so than the yards they make after the catch or whatever. So if you start to, it's for Arch, I think it's all about not having one blow up game where he does amazing. It's about making incremental steps forward from this week to Florida, to Oklahoma, to, Kentucky, Mississippi State, just getting consistently better throughout that time frame so that by the time you get to the November schedule that you feel confident that he's doing this week after week after week and not just one game against a team that ranks 133rd in the country in pass defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all about the small things at this point, because those are the things that need to be corrected before you go into Florida. And, you know, it's not trying to take over the world at this point. As much you'd love to see that was really you were a little bit past that past week 1. And ever since then it is play a full game, you know, play again. Well, I'll say I've seen 6 different quarters of Arch. I've seen, 6 different quarters of Texas football. The defense has been there. They've had a few lapses here and there, which I think makes sense when you're not getting it on the other end. When you're not playing complementary football, it is hard for a defense to steadfastly not allow any points because you just are constantly out there. That being said, you only need the offense to put up a few more points, and then I think you get better results on the defensive end too, because now the defense feels like there's something happening, and this team can really get going. So it's all just that little turn, and you can get there. And Sark also spoke to the media about the running backs. He was basically asked about the running backs that with C.J. Baxter going down, no Trey Wisner as well, that you've got a lot of young guys, a lot of work, more work than they were probably expecting. Because you figure these guys are expecting C.J. Baxter's probably going to get 15 carries. I may get 8 to 9. But we see them get way more action than that. And so Sark was asked about how they responded after getting that. Are they a little beat up? Or are they feeling good at practice? What are they doing? How are they learning the position? Here's what Sark had to say about the young running backs responding after a larger effort than they thought they were going to put out.
Not just take the ball and run. And because that's easy. The running back, he just gets the ball and run. But understanding the blocking schemes, understanding the defenses and how the blocking schemes fit with defenses so that they can set runs up and hit runs, where they're supposed to go with the right timing. And that's always with young backs, that's always one of the challenges is they can go too fast. They can go too slow. They can look to cut back too much. They can just try to run around everybody. This isn't high school anymore. You just don't run around everybody anymore like they do in high school all the time. Like you have to set blocks. You got to run through arm tackles. You got to have great ball security. You got to use your weapons, your stiff arms, your speed, all those things. Your jump cuts, and you got to apply all those things. On top of, you got to pass protect, and you got to understand pass protection and what that looks like mentally, but then using the physicality to block people and not get knocked back into the quarterback. So there's layers to the position that is not always easy for young runners. But I've been impressed with these three. I think Coach Scott's done a great job of developing these guys. And this is an awesome opportunity for them. Like this couldn't be a better 2-week run for these guys of getting this valuable experience that is going to not only help them, but help us as a team down the road.
There's Sark speaking about the running back position, how they responded, what he wanted to see out of them in practice. And talking about just making sure that you fall into this scheme. I think this is pretty consistent across the board, especially offensively, but somewhat on the defense too. Please trust us. And when we tell you to hit this gap, see it, hit it. Don't dance. Don't wait for the opportunity and go after it. Just go hit it. Like the play is supposed to be, and maybe it won't always work. But if the play does work and you are waiting, they're going to get in and you're going to get hit. So you need to take off and go. I think there's some of that in there as well, along with trying to make sure that everything is there. We know the offensive line has not been perfect this season so far, we'll say. So it may be a little bit more difficult than walking behind a fifth-year senior offensive line where those holes are wide open, and as soon as you hand the ball, it's like you can see the light. You just run towards it. It's just green ahead of you. I don't think we're seeing that from this offensive line, but they just have to get a little bit better that it's not playing high school football anymore.
Yeah, and this has kind of been something that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, where they're just dancing too much behind the line and waiting for it's like they're trying to hit a big play every time they touch the ball, and they're waiting to see if the hole opens wide open so they can run 60 yards and score a touchdown. When in reality, you just need to run it the way that it's designed. That hole will probably be there, and you'll get 5 or 6 yards. And that's what most of these run plays are designed to do. A running play on like a inside zone play or whatever the case, none of those are designed to go 75 yards for a touchdown. They're designed to get a few yards and keep you ahead of the chains. When they break open and you go 75 yards for a touchdown, it's because there was a lapse on the defense and they missed an assignment or they missed a tackle or they weren't in the right place or whatever. So the young running backs just need to realize that like you just need to stay ahead of the chains. And that's what this running game is really about right now, is staying on schedule. And I think Jarrett Gibson does a better job of that than Christian Clark or James Simon right now. I think James Simon is a little bit better at, making guys miss and falling forward and making some things happen out of nothing. And I think Christian Clark's been probably the best receiver out of the backfield. So all of them have had their own like positive things, but they just need to sort of, stay within the confines of the running game. And that's why I think it was so critical that CJ Baxter was out of that game last week for the running game, because he already knows all those things. And he does them really well. I mean, his first carry went for 6 yards and he got his leg whipped up at the last second. Otherwise it would have gone for 10 or 12. And then he gets hurt on that play and it kind of derails the running game from there. So I think it's going to be fine. It's especially when Trey Wisner and CJ Baxter come back, which, you'll have them back by Florida more than likely. But, it's just something these young running backs are going to have to learn. And you're going to have a good opportunity this week to learn against a run defense that isn't very good either. So I'm still pretty positive about it because all three of them are really talented guys.
Yeah, I think it'll also help this week to throw in that they will be prepared. Like they know what is coming this week. They're aware that they are the three backs that are going to play. The coaching staff is aware that these are the three backs who are going to play, to try and call plays correctly for that. So there is a little bit more of that. There still is the question of how well does the passing game work, because that questions how much you run, but you can game plan a little bit easier knowing what you have, as opposed to, well, we don't know if Simon's only going to get like 3 carries. And then Simon ends up getting 15, 16 carries. So I think that kind of having an idea of who's going to get the carries and receptions and all of that and the snaps is a little bit easier. Speaking of guys that they are trying to get to play, the younger guys, here's Sark when he was asked about which young guys he'd kind of like to see play a little bit more. We probably didn't get the amount of youth in these last 2 games that you really like. You're hoping against hope that this is a game where you get to put some of those guys in and just get them in for a little bit at least. Here is Sark talking about the young guys he'd like to see play.
Yeah, naturally, we're seeing the running backs, obviously, and I'd like to see a little bit more of some of the younger receivers. Obviously, Dalen McCutcheon's been out there and Kalik a little bit, but the more we can get those guys going, I'd like to see a few more of these young O-linemen. I think Nate Kibble's coming along. Nick Brooks is coming along. Maybe a Danny Cruz, things of that nature. I think defensively, we saw a short glimpse of, Jordan Johnson-Rebel last week and Wardell Mack and getting their footing underneath them. I think now having the availability of Jonah Williams, of getting him out there, Cade Phillips at corner, another guy who, if we can get more reps at, more looks at there. So, and then, we've been spot playing some of these young defensive linemen, but them getting their feet wet and playing more football. So I don't know if it's just, one group in particular. Again, it's all these guys, because we don't know, come October, November, December, whatever this looks like, what position group could get hit. Knock on wood. We play a violent sport and injuries happen. And so the more exposure we can get these guys now, I think will serve us well down the road.
So a lot of names there from Sark of who he'd like to see play, and I think, Kalik Lockett is definitely one of the names now we talk about of a guy that you feels like he's the last wide receiver who's really going to have a chance. I don't know if Jamie French or Michael Terry really going to have much of a chance to make an impact this season, but Kalik Lockett feels like he's on that edge of it a little bit more. We know Dalen McCutcheon's going to be able to be there, but Kalik Lockett, especially not really knowing what Emmett Mosley is going to be able to do and when he gets there, how healthy is he going to be for the rest of the season? If you could add in one more person, especially Kalik Lockett's got speed. I'd love to see that one. The Jonah Williams one, we're all excited to see if he can get in on the game and just see what he looks like in a football uniform. I think all of us would love to see that one as well. But an interesting what did you take out of that one, Matt?
I mean, obviously, Kalik Lockett and Jonah Williams are the 2 names that kind of pop out. Like, I'd really like to see those guys get involved a little bit more, particularly Jonah Williams. But honestly, the names that I really liked hearing from Sark right there were Daniel Cruz and Nate Kibble, the interior offensive lineman, and Nick Brooks as well. All those guys are big. All those guys are strong. All those guys are nasty. Particularly Daniel Cruz is a guy that I think has a real good chance to play this week because Cole Hudson's out. And if Connor Robertson, either isn't cutting it or, they get up big, then he's going to have an opportunity to get in there. And he's a guy who was particularly interesting to me coming out of high school because I watched him in a few camps and I was like, man, that guy is a beast. And he kind of has the mentality, at least in my opinion, that this Texas offensive line needs. He's a center, so he's been kind of buried on the depth chart so far. But these young offensive linemen, I think, are the most important ones that you have to get on the field because, number one, you already lost Cole Hudson for this week. He's unlikely to play, but also they've just been very inconsistent in there. So maybe if a young guy can get a few reps in there or maybe even play for an entire half, the coaching staff can look at him on film and be like, oh, okay, so this guy can hold up against a little bit more than we thought he could. He's a little bit more prepared than we thought he was going into the season. Maybe we can utilize him, start to rotate him in occasionally here. And I think that the offensive line depth is the one thing about this team that scares me a little bit more than anything, because there's just not a lot there. And if they can get those guys, get their feet wet, as Sark said, I think that would just benefit the team extremely highly.
I agree with that. Another guy that you feel like should have seen more playing time by this point and should have found kind of a role somewhere is Ryan Niblett. And, we know he's in the return game now, but it just feels like we've heard his name so often and that they keep trying to be like, he's right there. They moved him around. They really want to find a place for him. Sark spoke about him and kind of what he's done and why we don't see more, but he wants to see more. Here's Sark speaking today to the media.
I would say Ryan Niblett has been a guy that I've been really proud of, but also impressed with. He was a slot receiver 2 years ago that essentially moved to running back, that then moved to star during spring, then came back to receiver, then became our punt returner and our kickoff returner. And all he does is practice his butt off. All he does is continue to work. And I think we saw the explosiveness of the player that he is on the punt returns last week. It's unfortunate he's had a couple opportunities on kickoff return and we're just not making that one block and he's having to avoid a guy late. I wish we could block a kickoff return cleanly and to see what he looks like there. But he's a real Swiss Army knife for us on offense. And I think us continually trying to find ways, to your point, to move him around, to try to get the ball in his hands, I think would be beneficial for us.
So there's Sark again speaking about Ryan Niblett today to the media. And it is an interesting one because you feel like Niblett, there's a point where if he's good enough to be a return guy, then you should be able to use him in the screen game maybe, or in another place where you just want to put the ball in his hands in space and see what he can do. So he may not run the best routes. He may not have the best timing or anything else. But like, all right, I get the contradiction to that is, well, if we put him in the screen, we'd rather put Wingo in the screen. He's better than him, and there's other guys that are better than him to put in there. But I feel like if you can put in Niblett in some places and just find little plays, 1 or 2 plays a game to try and just get him the ball and see what he can do. We saw him have a really good return last week as well. Just try and get him involved somewhere, and it may not always work, but it feels like if you try and get him involved, probably once or twice this season, something big will come out of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could get this guy the ball. Jet sweeps, moving back in motion to running back and run an option play, a reverse, screen plays, whatever you can do to get just – who he reminds me of, maybe to less of an explosive extent in terms of how you need to try and figure out a way to get this guy the ball is Kevontae Turpin with the Dallas Cowboys. It's like he's not going to go out there and route guys up in the secondary or, run a clean, crisp, corner route or whatever the case. but they're just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands a couple times a game so that he can do something explosive. And I think that that's what they need to do with Ryan Niblett. He really had 2 great punt returns in that San Jose State game. And one of, it seems like every time Texas has a big return right now, it either gets called back because of a penalty, like a block in the back or a hold or whatever the case may be. So if they can just iron that out, then I think this guy is going to make a game-breaking play at some point. If they just maybe not force it to happen, but if they just give him the opportunities, eventually it's going to happen. So, I mean, the term Swiss Army knife is exactly what I would use to describe him as well. He can do a lot of different things. He's not necessarily great at any one thing, but he's good at a lot of different things that you could utilize. So I'd love to see him get involved more.
Agree with that. One other note on the defensive side, Sark was asked about Colin Simmons and just, continuing trying to get him to where we know he can be. Here's what Sark had to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, he practiced his ass off yesterday. I haven't watched the tape of today yet, but man, he practiced so well yesterday. He practiced hard. He practiced physical. He was running our games really well up front. He affected the quarterback. I mean, he was really good. And, I think as you go throughout the season and sometimes when you play in games like we've played the last couple of weeks where sometimes the opponent may feel like the offensive line might be a little bit outmanned versus your defensive front. There's thoughts and ideas of how do we neutralize a pass rush and whether that's running the ball, whether that's moving the pocket, whether that's using varying cadences, whether that's getting the ball out quickly. And like we've tried to explain to Colin, when you're good, people are going to try to neutralize you. And so you have to have a plan to beat how they're trying to neutralize you. And part of that is having that poise and composure to stay on side. Part of that is to get frustrated when you're not getting home and stay disciplined within the defense. And then part of that is maximizing your opportunities when you do get them. And so getting the half a sack last week, I think was important once he got going. We all know as we start to move into the season here down the road in a couple weeks, people are going to try to play a little bit more traditionally and take their shots and do their things. And we've got to be ready to execute at a high level when that comes. But right now it's about, hey, am I playing with maximum effort, right? Am I prepared really well mentally, physically, emotionally? Am I playing within the scheme of the defense with all 11 guys? And then have faith that when my opportunities do come, I'm going to be in the right spot to go make my plays. And so, hey, the flow of the season is what it is. We got a long way to go. Colin is more than equipped to have a great season for us, not a good one, a great one. And looking forward to him, kind of getting ready to take it to another level.
There's Sark speaking about Colin Simmons, and I'd at least like to hear that he is not letting his lack of performance or lack of success in games affect his mentality off the field yet, because that's when you start to worry a little bit more if he's starting to get upset and maybe not working as hard, and then that's the checkout. All right, I'm done. Like I'm moving, I'm transferring, or I just don't want to be in this anymore. Something's wrong. I don't like it. Doesn't feel like that's the case at all. Mm-hmm. It feels like it's much more of a situation of, all right, I'm learning how to deal with the fact that I am the number one thing on their film in the morning. That offense, the first thing they go, watch out for this guy, and it's just making my job way harder because last year he wasn't playing in all the snaps, so you couldn't say this is the main guy to prepare for. Plus, they had a bunch of other veterans that you were worried about. You were dead. Well, there's Jahdae Barron. Don't throw it his way. And then they got Manny Muhammad over there. Oh, plus they have 2 interior D linemen. They're both going to go high in the draft. And they got, early Colin Simmons. I think as the rest of this defensive line starts to earn their stripes more, it'll only help out Colin Simmons when you start to get into some of these other games later in the season. And he's getting more and more they have to worry about a Murad Watson more and more and more. And Ethan Burke's getting his. Then I think it may even back out, and we'll see Colin Simmons start to eat.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously has the right mindset. That was my favorite quote that Sark had in the entire press conference about Colin Simmons. Practicing his ass off after 3 weeks of frustration is a great sign. And I'm sure he practiced his ass off today too. And I think he's going to end up Sark made a great point, and we talked about it earlier this week as well. When you get into SEC play, these teams are going to start more and more not necessarily playing to your defense, but playing their game and hoping that you adjust to their defense or their offense, which I think is gonna allow Colin Simmons to be a little bit more effective. Because again, I mean, maybe it won't be that way against Florida because DJ Lagway just threw 5 interceptions, but it could be a situation when you face Oklahoma that Oklahoma's like, look, we've got the Heisman Trophy front runner. We're going to run our offense.
Yeah.
So we're not worried about we're worried about number 1 over there, but we're not going to game plan around getting the ball out of John Mateer's hands quickly to avoid whatever, because he is the only reason our offense is being productive right now. So we can't hamstring him or put him in the back seat. So it's going to come. I have no doubt about that. These edge rushers are going to start having more of an opportunity to get involved, especially Colin Simmons. And part of it is too, like, these other edge rushers need to step up a little bit to take the pressure off of Colin Simmons, because he gets double teamed a lot. And when he's not getting double teamed, they're getting the ball out quickly. So like Ethan Burke needs to start getting more pressure. Trey Moore needs to start getting more pressure. Colton Vosick needs to show signs of life. All these different things. And it helps that Murad Watson has been good, but you need some of these other guys to step up and help take the pressure off of Colin Simmons so that he can, just go to work and not have to, get triple teamed by 3 offensive linemen and still not get pressure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And by the way, Ike, shout out Ike. Where's Justice Terry? I just don't think he's been doing enough in practice to get on there. There's a ton of good defensive linemen ahead of him. So unlike in some other positions where maybe you could step up the ladder a little bit quicker, it's like there's kind of a logjam at every position there now. And so he'd have to be playing
snaps.
He's gotten some, but he hasn't got as much as I think we thought he would in these first few games, which a lot of players haven't. But I mean, we want to see him. He'll be really good in a year, but he's got to get through that logjam first of a lot of really, really good players. And they're kind of trying to cross-train him too, to see if they can use him inside, outside on that defensive line, just trying to get him somewhere out there on the field. And it just feels like when the interior defensive line started to play as well as they're playing, and now they're 6 deep, and you're about 5-6 deep on the edge, 5 deep on the edge room maybe, that it's just hard to break into those. So as much as we want to see him, if he's not doing it in practice and not outplaying those other guys, or making the mistakes that Colin Simmons was making early in the season of maybe getting a false start here or offsides here or there, or a hands in the face, or, just going on the inside when he's supposed to be going on the outside, going on the outside when you're supposed to be going on the inside, those types of things, they're just not going to play you. So at the end of the day, I get it, but it's kind of hard. Sark took another question about taking off linemen in the portal, and basically said the same thing of like, it's not easy to get linemen in the portal for us because they all want to start, and we can't guarantee anybody a starting job. And so, with Justice Terry, they didn't guarantee him a starting job. So, he knew that it was going to be a struggle to get in because there was depth there anyway.
Yeah, and I think eventually he's going to end up on the outside anyway, kind of in the same position that Ethan Burke plays.
Yeah.
He may get more opportunities as the year goes forward. I think he's played in 2 games so far, so he's got a couple more games in the regular season that he'll have a chance to get into and kind of prove himself. And then once you get into college football playoff maybe, or the SEC championship, if Texas is somehow able to get there, then he can play all those games if he want to, and it won't burn his red shirt. So it's he's just a young guy in a really stacked room, and he's just not where they need him to be to justify taking some of these other guys off the field. So he'll get there eventually. I think people are a little bit spoiled. And I'm not saying you are, Ike. I'm just saying in general. I think that people are a little bit spoiled over the last couple of years with, okay, Anthony Hill comes in as a true freshman and is amazing. 5-star freshman comes in, he's amazing. Colin Simmons last year comes in, 5-star freshman, he's amazing. So we expected Justice Terry kind of to be that next guy. And in reality, it's been Grayson Littleton so far. But it's just, that kind of stuff doesn't always happen. And it'll happen for him eventually. It's just he's just not quite there yet, it seems like.
Yeah, no, Matt's going full Brian Kelly, calling the people spoiled.
What do you want from me? We won the game.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it is always that deal of recruiting every year when they go, well, we got a 5-star, and you're like, it doesn't mean this guy's going to be amazing right off the bat. But I mean, when you just look at him though, he's still a dude that you let get off the bus early. Mm-hmm. Show him what's up, even if he's not going to be on the field much. Here's Sark. Last thing I'll play for today. Sark was asked about what he wanted to see. What he wanted to see on Saturday in a world where we've kind of talked about it a bunch, Matt, of, what do you want to see out of Arch? What do you want to see out of this team that makes you feel better about this team going into next week? And a 70-0 with 15 penalties. Arch, man, it's all running. And you're like, it was just kind of like 7 defensive touchdowns. You're like, oh, I don't like about this. This is not good. This is not where we want to be. That's still not giving me the hope, because once we play a better team, it'll be much harder to do some of those things. But here's Sark, who said what he wanted to see from his team on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think as always, we hold our guys to some simple things, and one is our brand or our style of football, right? That's fast, that's physical, that's tough, and that's smart, and that encompasses a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I think when you're playing fast, you know what to do, and you can go cut it loose. Because we should be a fast team. I think the physicality in which we want to play the game in all 3 phases, I think is very clear. And that's not just at the line of scrimmage. I'm talking on the perimeter. That's perimeter blocking. That's tackling. That's the way we cover kicks. I think the toughness piece is the ability to persevere and overcome. Everybody thinks toughness is physical. I'm thinking a lot about the mental toughness, because the game's not going to go perfect. And how do we respond to adversity in game? And then smart. Are we playing smart football? And I think that's where some of our penalties have stemmed from. I think some of our penalties are not very smart plays, and we pride ourselves on being a smart football team. And so we got to get back to that. And then naturally the ball, I always look at the ball, like, are we taking care of the ball? And one thing I was really proud of last week, all those carries by those young backs, they held on to the ball. They took care of the ball. Obviously, defensively, we've created 6 turnovers the last 2 games. So I would love to come out of here with no turnovers on offense Saturday. I'd love to create a couple or a few on defense. I'd love to play fast, physical, tough, smart football. And if we can do all those things, we're probably playing a brand and a style of football that we're accustomed to around here.
There's Sark on what he wants to see this week. I mean, all of those things are in there. I think he left off red zone because he knows he doesn't even want to talk about that anymore. But we all know I'd like to get it on 3rd and 4th down. I'd like to not be in 3rd and longs all the time, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, you are at the end of the day saying, can we continue to be more and more clean as a team, more and more physical as a team? I think that's an easy way to say, can that offensive line and defensive line wreak more havoc than they have? The offensive line definitely on that edge. And we all know the other issues that you'd love to see. But if there's 21 players playing well for Texas, I'm going to believe that the last guy's going to get there. Believe Arch is going to get there. But you need the 21 other ones to be playing at the high enough level, and then we're going to say we think Arch is going to come.
Yeah, I mean, so much about what this team needs to show on Saturday is mental more than anything else. Yeah. Arch pressing, Ryan Wingo pressing, Colin Simmons pressing, making dumb penalties across the board. DJ Campbell's had a bunch. I think he's had 5 already. It goes back to what I said earlier in the show and what we said earlier this week. It's like 70-0 doesn't mean anything to me. It's how you executed that 70-0.
Yeah.
So as long as they show those things, that they're making progress and they're starting to figure things out in the mental aspect of the game more so than the physical aspect of the game, I think is absolutely critical. And that's the thing that I'm looking for the most. And the other thing I'm looking for the most, quite honestly, is the offensive line play in the run game. If they play like they played the last couple of weeks in the SEC when they're running the football up front, there's gonna be a lot of games like there was Georgia last year. And that's something that this offense, with the way Arch is playing right now, just simply can't afford. So they need to fix that. Maybe it's playing some of the younger guys. Maybe it's some schematic things, moving guys around, flipping. Maybe it's as simple as flipping Connor Stroh and DJ Campbell to the other sides of the line. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that concerns me the most about this football team, even more so than Arch, despite the way he's played the last couple of weeks, because it's affecting the way this offense is scheduled very heavily. So they need to work on that as well.
I'm with you there, Matt. Why don't we take our first break? We'll come back right after the break. We want to get into our SEC rankings on a Thursday. We've had we put it together last week of our first ranking after week 2. And I feel like there's some changes. There are some changes that have moved around in this SEC ranking. So we will get to that when we come back. The Jerry Jones hour will start at some point in the 5 o'clock hour. The Jerry Jones hour starts. So we'll get to all of that. And whatever you guys want to talk about on the chat and on the text line, that as well. We come back here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Now, stepping up to the plate is a household name, weighing in at roughly 115 pounds with a wingspan of 98 inches. It's Samson.
Kid, I know it's baseball season, but this isn't what I meant when I said to incorporate sports into the company commercial.
Sorry, old man. I just want everyone to know that audiovisual consultations can make your home feel like a stadium.
That's true. Audiovisual provides stadium surround sound, huge screen video, controlled lighting, and even temperature control. On our roster, every customer is an MVP.
Sounds like audiovisual knows how to score a home run with our customers.
All right, kid, that's enough with the baseball puns.
But I'm trying to tell everyone that audiovisual is a real catch. You'll glove our services.
Kid?
There's nothing coming out of left field when you give us a call. We won't break your balls.
Kid, we only have a minute.
Pitch, please. I don't need your attitude right now.
Rest assured, listeners, audiovisual is much better at installing and designing custom home theaters than we are at making jokes.
Just check our stats. Give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
You see covert everywhere. It's that personal level of just feeling like it's a personal family interaction.
The customer service, it's impeccable. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced buying a car.
Over the 30 years that I've been buying cars from them, I feel like I know them and they know me.
Covert's done an amazing job of making me feel valued. If you purchase a vehicle and you want to feel like you're part of a family, join the Covert family.
Come and experience it for yourself.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
BK here for OLIPOP. Man, this stuff is the game changer of all game changers. Their slogan is a new kind of soda, and that's exactly what it is. You get that same great soda taste, but OLIPOP is actually good for you. Inside of every can, a blend of 7 unique botanicals, plant fibers, and prebiotics. You're getting 9 grams of fiber in every can, only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, and man, the flavor is absolutely there. Classic soda flavors like cola, root beer, lemon lime, and Dr. Goodwin. That's their version of a Dr. Pepper, and some other great flavors as well. The grape, the cream soda, the cherry cola. It's all fantastic. I'm telling y'all, OLIPOP tastes just like the soda you grew up sipping, but with the added benefits of microbiome and digestive health support as well. Pick up OLIPOP at H-E-B, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, and Costco all throughout the Austin area and the state of Texas. And head over to drinkolipop.com. Use the promo code TEXAS20 for a discount on your first purchase. It's OLIPOP, a new kind of soda.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI. And of course, you, the third member of Open Gym. Text line's open 512-222-9328. And of course, on the chat on Facebook, Twitch, X, and on YouTube. If you guys got some things you want to talk about, if you want to join the conversation, especially right now, we're going to be talking about some SEC power rankings. Starting to get into where we believe these teams should be ranked in the SEC after just a couple of weeks. We have now seen them a few times, and we're now into after week 3. I think it's changed a little bit from after week 2. I think definitely South Carolina and Vanderbilt are going to go on the move after that game, but we will get into that as we get started, and we pull up what we've got from last week here that we can say this is our power rankings after week 1. Then we had in Tier 1, LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Texas. In Tier 2, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Missouri. Tier 3 at South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Over in Tier 4, Arkansas, Florida, and Kentucky. So we start to look into those power rankings now, Matt. What sticks out to you there to start in Tier 1?
Well, I think there definitely needs to be some movement for sure. Starting at the top, I think Georgia's got to be number one. They have the best SEC win so far against a really good Tennessee team. I think they probably have the best win of any SEC team in the country right now. That includes Texas A&M. That includes LSU because Clemson doesn't look very good right now. Notre Dame's 0-2. So I think you have to give Georgia the credit for that, move them up to number one. You can slide LSU probably down to I think you should probably put LSU at 3, Oklahoma at 2, just because Oklahoma's looked like more of a complete team than LSU has so far.
I'll say this. I think their offense, they have one player that is looked good on that offense. I'm not sold that they completely look good. But it has moved the ball and they've scored points. So that itself will put you ahead of LSU. The LSU defense, though, is pretty decent right now. They're kind of keeping their team alive in times, which I did not expect going into this season at all.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Oklahoma's offense, you said it, like they're moving the football and they're scoring points. LSU's not. So
Yes.
And Oklahoma's defense has been very good as well. I mean, LSU might have the best defense in the SEC. Harold Perkins is an absolute nightmare. So I think that you're kind of splitting hairs, but I'm fine that Oklahoma's just looked better so far through the first 3 weeks than LSU has.
Yeah, I'm with you. They play a Michigan team. They got their big win. They looked much better in their bigger win than LSU did. Now LSU has 2 big wins already, but we can. Florida, I guess, isn't a big win anymore, but. They made it look like a big win. They made it look like a big win. We'll say that. So then we go to the number 4 spot, and I see that Joe says Texas is not tier 1, 2, or 3. They're definitely before tier 4, Joe. I know they have not looked good, but again, they had the ball in their hand against Ohio State. That defense is elite. And you're trying to figure out what you can get in that offensive game. I know they haven't looked good to what the standard is. The standard, you want to put them there, but to pretend that they are worse than some of these other teams is silly.
Yeah, and I think you can definitely slide them down quite a bit, but I'm not prepared to put them in tier 3 quite yet. So I think what you do, and this may make a lot of people mad, but they're undefeated and they just went on the road and won a massive game. I think Texas A&M's number 4 right now. So I think you moved Texas A&M to 4, and then you slide Ole Miss and Missouri up a spot each to 6 and 7 respectively, and then you put Texas at 8. I think 8 is a fair spot for Texas right now because all of those teams have looked better than them, particularly offensively. And until you start to put together, some consistent offense, I can't have you in the top 7. So I think it's A&M 4 in tier 1, and then tier 2 is Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, and then Texas.
Yeah. All right. Give me 1 second here as we figure it out. So we're going to go. I'm with you on the Texas A&M because they did get the big game. Now that A&M game is going to be questionable. I mean, Notre Dame should bounce back. They play Purdue this week. So this should be their first win of the season. But if Notre Dame does fall completely off, then that win doesn't necessarily carry the same weight as we think it does. But as of right now in week 3, I cannot say it. I still think Notre Dame is a pretty good team. I think they'll be fine. And so they will turn it around now. So I will say that Texas A&M still sitting in that number 4 spot. Marcel Reed's also looked really good for Texas A&M as well. And then, as far as we go with Tennessee, You don't move them down at all? You're still good with them in a dog fight that they lose to Georgia. They're still okay in that 5 spot. Ole Miss and Missouri. You don't move Ole Miss or Missouri up above Tennessee, even though they've got the wins. Okay.
I don't, because Tennessee was a missed field goal away from beating Georgia. So
yeah, and Ole Miss was not that heavily above beating.
They almost blew it.
They almost blew it a couple weeks in a row. So
yeah,
I'm with you on that one. In all reality, I might move Missouri above Ole Miss.
I'm not prepared to do that yet.
I know
Missouri
you're not prepared to do that, but
Missouri hadn't played anybody yet.
They have not.
So
they have not.
We'll see what happens this weekend. But I think it's fine there for now. I understand the argument, but let's leave my Rebels at 6 for now.
All right. I do want to throw out there that there's a team that we put really low on this. There's a couple teams that went low on this list that might need to move up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once we get into tier 3, some of these teams might jump ahead of Missouri or Ole Miss or Texas or any of those places. Just to say that I know they had a bad loss, but Auburn's looked good. Alabama has looked much better in their 2 games against nobody. Vanderbilt comes out and beats up on South Carolina. Those are just names that we should at least look at of where do they end up? How far do they jump for what they have done? Because I feel like Alabama, I get it. They had an awful game. But it feels like there's maybe not 11, maybe a little higher than that. And Auburn, I think Auburn is going to take a hit. Like the number 10 spot feels like where Auburn's going to be at the end of the season for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're doing this by week, I feel it is somewhat fair to move them up a little bit because they're playing good football right now.
They are. They're playing good football with their 19 different play callers. But I think what you should, and hear me out on this, you can disagree with me if you want, and we can discuss it. But I think you move Alabama up to number 9.
Okay.
And you move number 9 into tier 2.
Okay.
And then South Carolina probably drops pretty heavily. And you leave Auburn at 10. You move Vanderbilt up to 11. And then Mississippi State stays at 12. And that rounds out your tier 3. I think you put South Carolina at the bottom of tier 3 is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that. So we go. All right. So we're going number 8, 9 in tier 2 is Alabama. 10 is 11. 12 is Vanderbilt, or 11 is Vanderbilt. 12 is Mississippi State, or no, 12 we're going. 12 is going to.
So we're going Alabama at 9. They move into tier 2. Okay. And then Auburn 10, Vanderbilt 11, Mississippi State 12, South Carolina 13.
Okay, there we go. That's where I was missing it. And then we roll down to our bottom tier 4 here. That this is Arkansas, Florida, and Kentucky here in tier 4. And Arkansas loses, Florida loses. I mean, Florida looked better in a loss, but it's not really 5 interceptions doesn't move you up on this poll. And Kentucky, do we even touch our tier 4, or do we just leave those guys down there at the bottom?
Well, Kentucky won and Florida lost, so I think you could flip-flop them technically.
But who did Kentucky beat?
I don't even know. I know they won, though.
Yeah, but Florida lost to LSU.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not gonna they made LSU look not good offensively.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Should we move South Carolina into tier 4?
I wouldn't yet because it depends on Lenore Sellers' injury, right?
Yeah.
Because South Carolina, we're basically building on Lenore Sellers. So if Lenore Sellers comes back, then I'm still on board with Lenore Sellers being able to win some games with this team. I get they look bad. We also don't know, is Vanderbilt that much better? Like, are they that system is now clicking and they feel really good. But I think South Carolina still gets to sit in tier 4 or tier 3. Sorry. I think they still sit in tier 3, and then tier 4 goes to Arkansas, Florida, and Kentucky. They just still sit there. They got to do something better to convince me that they get to be in a better place than where they're at right now. So that's it. I'll have to make the graphic. I can't change this one on the fly. But that does change our power rankings now going in after week 3 and going into week 4. That we will now have Georgia at number 1, Oklahoma at 2, LSU at 3, Texas A&M at 4. Then in tier 2, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, Texas, and Alabama. Tier 3, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. And in 4, Arkansas, Florida, and Kentucky is your rankings as we wrap it up. Let us know in the chat, in the text line, if you have any of those seem wildly out of place to you, if any of those seem drastically wrong to you, that maybe those are not the ones you want to get into. I could see that one a little bit. But I think overall, I think our list is still pretty good. Auburn, I know that's a question as we start to look at, let me go look at what games we have in the SEC this week. Because
Auburn, Oklahoma is the big one.
Auburn, Oklahoma. So we will see if Auburn goes out there and that could shake up the power rankings quite a bit if we get to Auburn, Oklahoma in that game. But yeah, we do get Arkansas, Memphis could be another loss for Memphis or for Arkansas here. It's a 3-0 Memphis team. An interesting look for this Arkansas team as they go into it. UAB is 2-1. Not great though. So I don't know if I'm going to put them ahead of Tennessee in that one. Of course, Auburn, Oklahoma. Tulane, another one of the group of 5 schools that people think could be a competitor. They are taking on Ole Miss. So Lane Kiffin looks to squeak out another victory this week for Ole Miss. Do we know who the quarterback is for Ole Miss yet, Matt?
Not that I've seen. I haven't been paying a ton of attention this week.
Well, he doesn't have to do an SEC injury report this week, so he could just not say anything.
He could. I would imagine they probably go with Trinidad Chambliss again and give Austin Simmons another week to kind of get healthy. But I don't know. I don't know. I think that Ole Miss team really believes in him. So I hope that's, I hope Austin Simmons gets another shot, but right now it's Trinidad Chambliss to lose, I feel like.
We get South Carolina and Missouri next, so that one will be another piece to see if either one of those wants to move up. If Missouri wins with South Carolina may move to tier 4. If they're not able to compete in the SEC and drop to 0-2 in the SEC on that one. Florida's going to lose again to Miami. That one seems like a foregone conclusion that they will move to 1-3. Good Lord, not the start. We may talk some coaching hot seats here later today or tomorrow. And we talked some guy, Billy Napier. That seat is in fuego.
If Billy Napier gets blown out by Miami, is this game in Miami or is it in Florida?
It's in Miami.
Okay. If he gets blown out by Miami, I'm not sure he makes it to like
the tarmac.
October.
Yeah, I think you were gonna say the tarmac.
So if he gets blown out by Miami and then they lose to Texas, I don't see any way that he keeps his job. I just can't. You start the season 1-5. I don't know, man. He's he's hanging on the side of the cliff right now, and somebody's like dumping Vaseline all over where he's holding.
Yeah, it is. I got a question for you. LSU plays Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah.
Who scores more points this week, LSU or Texas?
Ooh.
I'm just saying both offenses have struggled mightily. LSU's probably been a little bit better, but we're talking about two teams that have kind of struggled. Both are going to try and really get going against the teams they're playing. So it is Sam Houston or Southeast Louisiana.
Well, okay. So there's a caveat here because I'm not sure if Garrett Nussmeier is going to play or not.
That's true. That's true.
Because he's injured. But Texas right now ranks, they're averaging 24 points a game. I'm not going to give you the ranking. And LSU is averaging 20 points a game. So Texas has been scoring more points than LSU has been this year. I'm going to say Texas.
All right.
I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to say Texas.
I don't see a line for Southeast Louisiana and LSU. So I can't use Vegas and their over-unders and the lines to kind of give you a projection. But Texas, they are assuming is going to score at least 45 points to be able to hit the over and cover.
Yeah.
You'd assume they're talking about a 45 plus point win there.
I think Texas wins 45-3, probably.
That is not a cover on the over. That's an under.
I know. And I think LSU probably wins like 31-0.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
No, Joe.
I would no, Joe. No. I don't own a house. I'm bad with money and I make bad decisions. And no, Joe, I would not bet the mortgage payment on Texas 40.5. No, I would. I'll tell you this. I'm not putting $20 on it. So that should tell you my amount of confidence for this Texas offense to actually get the job done. I believe that they can get it done. I have faith that they can get it done, but they have to show me before I would put money on the line that they will get it done.
But, I think if you're going to bet anything on this game, it's an Arch Manning anytime touchdown.
Considering the fact that he's the only guy who scores.
Yeah, he's responsible for all 9 touchdowns that Texas has scored this year. So if they score a touchdown, you can pretty much bet that Arch Manning had something to do with it at this point.
Let's see. Who's Clemson playing this week? Because I was going to say the other bet. They're playing Syracuse. I would take Clemson on the under in points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I would 3. Taking the under.
What's the spread on that one?
The spread is 16.5.
I'm hammering Syracuse on that one.
I don't even know if they'll win. I think 16.5 is a pretty big line for how bad Clemson's looked. But they've been abysmal in the first quarter. That offense has done nothing in the first quarter. So if I don't know what the odds you're getting for any of that. If there's that line, you'd probably have to go first half, and then they've tended to score a little bit in the first half, but not a lot, depending on what that line is an interesting line to bet for Clemson versus Syracuse on this weekend. Matt, I did want to hit one thing real quick before we move on to the Jerry Jones Hour. So we talked about it a little bit, but Sark was asked about it today, and I thought he had an interesting point. I don't know if I'm 100% in agreement with him, but I liked his point. Thought it was an interesting debating point on it. He was asked about the red shirts versus 5 years. And do you have a red shirt year, or do you just give everybody 5 years? Because we know the lawsuits have started on that. People saying that they should deserve a 5th year because they did not red shirt, but that shouldn't matter anymore. Here's what Sark had to say today, and I want to get your opinion and let you guys on the chat and the text line as well share your opinion on if you're in favor of the 5-year rule or in favor of the red shirt rule. It's 2 things. Here's what Sark had to say about his opinion on the matter.
I would at this point, with the length of our season, the way they set it up now, you get to play 4 games in the regular season, and then once postseason play begins, and that postseason play includes your conference championship game, those games don't count. So you can play 4 in the regular season, and then you can play the entire postseason and still have a redshirt eligible. To me, why not just give them the whole year and let these guys play? Because who knows, at week 8, now you've got a kid who could be a backup defensive end who's already played in 4 games, and you're trying to balance out, should we play him or should we not? Because a guy got an ankle sprain and might be out a week. I mean, to me, because of the length of the season, I would just go ahead and eliminate the red shirt and just let him have 5 years to play. And on the other side of that, just to piggyback that, I think that'll eliminate what's about to happen around the country. Because what's about to happen around the country is players holding out. and players not wanting to play to preserve their red shirt, knowing they're going to transfer at the end of the year. And so you're going to see this come up here pretty soon too. And hopefully not on our roster, you never know. But I think you're going to see this around the country. We saw it last year with the quarterback at UNLV, where guys opt out to preserve their redshirt year. I think that when you do the no redshirt year, you eliminate that and you're just giving everybody 5 years. And now guys, when they're on a team, they go play. When the season's done, if they want to transfer, they can transfer.
So there's Sark. The first one, not so much, does not move me at all. The first statement that, we just need more guys. So don't make me have to redshirt them. That one does not move me as much because that is a problem that's kind of always been there. And it's that one is more of a personal problem. I get it. I don't like that one as much. The second one, which is people threatening to hold out for their red shirt years because they'd rather not play and then they're already upset and they're just, go ahead and write it off and I'll go on to the next year, transferring on the next year. Is an interesting thing because it does happen. We've seen it a few times happen. So it is something that is a reasonable reason to go after it. I'm still leaning on the side of this is kind of BS. And then we get to the Diego Pavias that are like, no, if you play FCS, it doesn't count. Or you play junior college. So you can get a 30-year-old college football player because he plays FCS for 4 full seasons, then transfers to FBS and has 5 years of eligibility and can play 9 years. And then, you're like that to me is just crazy because there will be teams built on that. There will be 100%. Mike Gundy will be the team, or Kansas State, if you brought back Bill Snyder, who just had all the JUCO guys on his team, and they'd be like, we're the most experienced team in the nation by far. Like our starting quarterback's 26 years old. Our offensive line is all 27. Like we have guys that are way older and way more confident. It's like the reason you can't rent a car until you're 25. They're all renting cars at some of these colleges when this happens. So I'm not usually a big slippery slope guy, but this one feels like the way everything's been going, it's like, I don't think it's still necessary, but I thought it was an interesting point from Sark.
Yeah. I mean, I think the red shirt rule is, I'm kind of with Sark here. I think the red shirt rule is dumb. You're still in college for 5 years, more than likely, if you're not going to the NFL. And if you are going to the NFL, you're not going to stay 5 years anyway. So giving guys an opportunity to stay and continue their education or, have an opportunity, that one last opportunity to catch NFL scouts' eyes in their 5th season, I think is fine. And with the way that Texas's roster is constructed right now, like if Justice Terry plays in all 4 non-conference games, and then you have a rash of injuries in the middle of SEC play, and you need to insert a guy at defensive tackle, then I don't think that he should be penalized for that and lose a year of eligibility, even if it's for 2 weeks. So I've never been a fan of the redshirt rule. I know that there's some good things that have come out of it, like Colt McCoy redshirted his freshman year, and when he came out, he was really good because he got to just sit and watch. But I think you get more benefit from being able to play. So I'm going to side with Sark on this one on both points, honestly. But I don't. It doesn't particularly move me that much to where I would fight about it. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. And that's, I think too, there's different worlds of this too. So in basketball, I think it's a much bigger problem because so many fewer players go to the NBA that you're like, oh, so there's just teams with 5th-year guys everywhere. And their transfer portal is just always picking up 5th-year guys. And so you're just getting, you can just, through the transfer portal now, build these really experienced teams that have, that are the teams of guys who are really, really good. And then you're just like, we don't have to worry about freshmen because unless you have Cooper Flagg, we're going to beat you. And even those teams we can compete with. So there is worry. I think basketball, it'll be a much more noticeable impact to just allow 5th-year players, especially the season they allow it, when, you're talking about all these teams getting another guy that was one of the better players in college basketball, but wasn't going to go pro because he maybe is like a 6'6" center or something, but he's still an amazing college basketball player. I think that one would worry me a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's like I get it to an extent. I'm still probably not on the side of it, just because like the redshirt rule. If you take away the transfer portal, I'm more okay with it. But the fact that there's people that can just then go in and get the best player at 5 years and not put in any of the 4 years of waiting for them to be that good, that is the part that kind of sucks the most about it. So yeah, I get it. There is no perfect world for any of this stuff anymore. And, you kind of have to there's always going to be the pros and the cons for everything that's there. So it just always feels like it's going to be at some point where you're like, well, that guy, he just wasn't quite good enough for the NFL. So he's in his 14th season with Vanderbilt now. You're like, come on, man. No.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I think you need to have like kind of a hard line on these guys who are playing 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Because of COVID and a red shirt, an injury red shirt. And I transferred from FCS, so it doesn't count. So now I've got a wife and kids and I'm playing college football. It's like, all right, like you guys need to move on. And also just about the basketball thing real quick. Do you have to have the same rule that you have in football for basketball?
I don't know, but as soon as you make it in football, they're going to make it in basketball. Like there'll be a lawsuit and it'll be made.
Probably. I don't know. It's something where I'm like, yeah, I mean, this would be good for some kids, bad for some kids, good for the sport in some ways, bad for the sport in some ways. So it just kind of is what it is. I just my thing is I want to see people like Diego Pavia go away. Like not like Diego Pavia himself, because I think he's fun to watch. But these guys who are like in their 8th year of college football because they're taking advantage of every loophole in the system.
Yeah, the guys who are like, I'm finally good at 25. And you're like, that's okay, but you're not supposed to be able to be in college still. The rules are set up for you not to be able to do this.
Like, how long has Jalen Catalan been playing football now?
66 years.
Like either go to the NFL or go away.
I like if you just say, non-conference doesn't count at all towards red shirt. Like you can play all your non-conference and that doesn't count against it. And then you get like 4 conference games. So basically you're like, unless this guy is playing, if this guy plays the entire season, he doesn't get a red shirt. And that guy's probably going to go to the NFL anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you would just go, we're going to give you a bunch of games to play. But if you play in all of them, if you're a starter year 1, you don't get to play 5 years. Like you don't get that advantage of playing that much more. We want playing time to go to younger guys. We want the game to continue to be what it was, not what it's becoming. But that's just the old man in me.
Yeah, I think that would be a good middle ground. I really like that idea, actually, Patrick. You should pitch that to the NCAA.
I don't think they like me.
They might not. I don't think they like anybody.
I'm not an 80-year-old millionaire, so they don't like me. They're a fan of those 80-year-old millionaires, Joe said, remember when the peeps complaining about BYU players being too old because they didn't start school until after their missionary work? That was always, especially on the basketball team, that was a thing because, the guys, but the offensive line too, you'd have the offensive linemen that were like 26 years old. Like these Polynesian dudes and Samoan dudes on the offensive line that were just monsters of men.
Yeah.
Because they were just like constantly built up and they were 25 years old. You're like, yeah, of course they can block. They're NFL linemen. Of course they can do this. Shout out to Chan on the text line. He says, great show. Headed out shortly to watch the Demon Slayer movie. Is there a Demon Slayer movie now?
It's an anime movie. I don't think you'd be into anime, but it's incredible. I'll put it that way.
No, I was very upset last night when I realized I hit my buddy and I was like, you want to go see Spinal Tap 2 tomorrow? Because I'm a huge Spinal Tap fan. And so I was like, oh, let's go see it. It opened last week. And then I was like, I was like, I'll wait out I don't want to go when it's busy. It's like not going to be anywhere. It's like they showed it for 1 week. It's like
I didn't even know they made a sequel.
Yeah, how is no one? My algorithm is very dead on for me because it is across the board Spinal Tap stuff for me. But yeah, there's a new movie. It came out last week. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. I believe the premise is that they find that contractually they're obligated to play one more show, so they have to put the band back together to do one more show. But they've been doing a bunch of press for it, so I've seen them doing a bunch of press and all that stuff. But yeah, they smile to do. But yeah, it's in like I think like 6-7 theaters in Austin right now across all of Austin, and then starting Friday, that's dropping out of like 5 of them, so it'll be in like 2 theaters in Austin, and they're only showing like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock shows, and I'm like, well, I don't want to wait till 11 o'clock to go see it because I'd like to have drinks after it.
I love Spinal Tap.
That's there's a how do you not know there's a new one, man? Come on.
I don't know. I don't know, but like I made that reference thinking that you would get it the other day when I said everything was turned up to 11.
Oh, I got it.
I didn't get a reaction out of it. I was like, oh, I thought Patrick would have loved Spinal Tap reference. But
oh, I get it. I think I'm just so bad. I'm like, of course, it goes to 11. I'm going for the deep cuts. Like when he plays the piano and he goes, what's that one called? He goes, it's called Lick My Love Pump. Such a dumb movie. But yeah, that's so I'm annoyed now. So I'm gonna have to drive like 20 minutes to go watch this movie now, 20-30 minutes to go watch this movie now. But I'm like, well, I gotta see it before it goes out of theaters, or else I'm not even gonna see it then.
Look at Patrick Davis going to a movie theater to watch a movie.
I haven't been in a movie
thought
theater.
I would have seen the day.
I've not been in a movie theater in, I could imagine 10 years. No, it's not true. It's not true. Because I went to an event at one, but it's been a while. I think so. The last time I went may have been, it was either like a Master Pancake show, which are the ones where they mock movies when they do it. So either that one, or it was a friend of mine band. They did like a music video thing where they did like 4 music videos and they were playing them in the movie theater. So that one I went to too. And I feel like both of those were post-COVID. So within the last 5 years.
The last movie that I saw, last time I was in the movie theater was 2024. I went and saw Dune 2. And then what was the last one? It had to have been a few years. It was the last Spider-Man movie that came out with Tom Holland. It was probably like 3 or 4 years ago or whatever.
Okay. So you haven't been in a while.
I used to go all the time, and now it's just, I hate going. I just wait for movies to come out on streaming. Dune 2 is an exception because that's the kind of movie that you like have to see in IMAX to get the full experience. But otherwise, like I would go see the Demon Slayer movie, but I think if my girlfriend found out I went and saw a Demon Slayer movie, she would probably dump me. So I'm going to avoid that one.
And Joe, when the Hello Cleveland is a classic line. And that's the thing is too, is like I toured with a band for 5 years, and you had so many of those moments in life where when they happen, you're like, this is a Spinal Tap moment. Like there was one, we were playing a show in Corpus, and we go, and the band's doing a drum solo, and so the rest of the band walks off, and I go walk off with the rest of the band to make sure they're okay. And we walk backstage, and they're like, oh, we want to smoke. So they walked out the back door, which is on the street. And then so we're all walked out, and then the door shuts, and we realized it locked behind us. So then we had to go back around the whole club to the front entrance of the club. And then the door guy, we're like, we're technically playing right now. We have to get back. They're in a drum solo, and it is ending like right now. And we cannot get back to the stage. So the band running back through the crowd to try and get to the stage to get back on because we had locked ourselves out of the club. Things like that happen a lot on the road. And Hello Cleveland is one that you have where you're walking around trying to figure out where you are. And it is it's brutal. It's brutal when you're like, which way to the stage? So all those things. We had a guy one time intro us, like a guy that was like the guitar tech at the time, and he'd come up for the show to work a show, and he comes out, and we're in Lubbock, and he's trying to get the crowd ready before the show, and he's like, Odessa, Texas, are you ready? And nothing, crickets in the crowd. And I see his face, and I'm like, oh, he just realized we're in the wrong town. He goes, no. He goes, Midland, Odessa. And he doubled down. He thought we were in Midland. And we were like, no. And so he's just like, all right, welcome the band. And the band walks out the scene and goes, Lubbock. Like, yeah, we know where we are. The band knows. Crew just doesn't know where we are. So it was fun stuff like that happens all the time for Spinal Tap. I'll tell you some other time. We'll talk about it. If I watch the movie tomorrow, maybe next week, I'll share when I had a Spinal Tap moment, like an actual one performing Spinal Tap song. I had a Spinal Tap moment. So we'll see. Maybe we'll save that one. But fun stuff. So I'm excited to see the movie, but now I'm going to have to drive all over, and I'm trying to figure out where it's going to be so I can go enjoy it. And maybe with a beverage or two, I like to have a beverage when I enjoy something funny. It makes it a little bit funnier, heightens senses. I don't do the other things that people do for comedies to make them hit harder. I don't do the other things. So I need alcohol to help raise that up. The only problem is I'm in my 40s now, so I'm going to miss like at least 10 minutes of this movie peeing. Almost guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. That's how it goes when you get our age, Patrick. You just can't help it.
Let's you know what? It's 5:41, so it's time for the Jerry Jones hour. It's the only hour that isn't a full hour on radio. The Jerry Jones hour, talking some Cowboys football. And Matt, I wanted to kind of pick your brain today as we're getting into a not great Thursday night football game tonight. We'll get into that in a minute. But about the Cowboys, that this is a Cowboys team that we know is having injuries. I believe Deron Bland still did not practice today. Trayvon Diggs practiced, but you're like, I don't know how much that's really going to help you at the end of the day. But a team that just got torched by Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
A team that we know is not going to have the pass rush it had because you lost the guy that Jerry Jones admitted himself or said himself was the face of the franchise and an elite pass rusher in Micah Parsons. You lose him. But you're playing Caleb Williams this week in the Bears. It's Ben Johnson, so you should be able to draw some stuff up on you. How do you, this week at least, try and shore up that pass defense a little bit for the Cowboys to try and say, we're going to give our offense that we think this offense can score 40 against the Bears, and all we got to do is hold this team to like 21, and we'll have a really easy victory. How do you hold them from not just torching you for 400? Because Russell Wilson turned back the clock. Can Caleb Williams turn forward the clock to when he would be a good quarterback?
I'm not sure that there's anything you can do in the short term, if I'm being honest. It's like you can't go out and make a trade this week. You can't go out and trade for Trey Hendrickson and have him play on Sunday and help your pass rush. Basically, what you're resigned to is getting Deron Bland back and hoping Siobhan Revell comes back at a certain point soon. But I don't think it matters who the Cowboys play right now. It's exactly, Joe. It's going to be the first team that gets to 30. And you're just going to be in a shootout with a Bears team that is going to move the ball on you.
We saw it last week. It wasn't the first team who got to 30 because it changed the score. The lead changed 3 times in the last minute.
Yeah, it was the first team that got to 40 instead of 30. So, I mean, it's just I feel like it's just going to be another high-scoring game because this Cowboys secondary is beat up. You still don't have Kalen Carson either. Trayvon Diggs is not good, overrated, overpaid, all those things. Your safeties haven't been great, even though I know Donovan Wilson got an interception last week, but that was just on a horrible, horrible decision by Russell Wilson. Like, why did he throw that football? So I think it's kind of unfixable until you get healthy. Because when they were relatively healthy with Deron Bland in week 1, it looked pretty good against Philly. So, you know, here's my thing. In order to fix the pass defense at a certain point this year, outside of getting healthy, I think you would have to trade for someone.
Okay.
A corner, a safety, another edge rusher, something like that. My problem with that is that whoever that might be is a guy who is, one, expendable to his team right now, which means he's probably not going to be on your team next year. So it would be a rental. Because I don't think, like, let's say you trade for Trey Hendrickson. I don't think Jerry Jones is going to want to sign a 30-year-old guy to an extension and, give him big money when he's already signing all these other guys to extensions like Tyler Smith and Deron Bland and Brandon Aubrey, and there's probably more coming. So I think if using the draft capital that you get from Micah Parsons to have a 1-year rental, I think would be a major mistake. When you can just go in the next 2 years and draft 4 starters in the first round on defense and really fix it then. So it's a hard question to answer because I really think it's health related more than anything for the Cowboys in the short term, and they have a terrible training staff according to the stats and the players themselves. So it's going to be difficult for them to fix it. I don't see any way they fix it in the short term.
So that leads to, there's no way to really fix it, is there a style of play that gives you a better chance to win and understands what your offense does? So, Matt, if it's your decision that you say we just can't play a normal defense and expect to go out there and compete, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can either bring all these weird different blitzes and just constantly throw 7 guys at them and say, screw it. Sometimes they're going to get lucky and hit a guy, but we are going to consistently try and make the quarterback have to make a play. Or we go the other route and we say, screw it. We're going to get 1 sack this season. I don't give a damn. We're only going with 3 guys and we're dropping everybody back. We go 3 or 4 guys and we're just dropping guys every time. And all we're doing is trying to make you throw underneath. Nothing deep on us, no big explosive plays. So you may be able to score, but we're going to bet you get a penalty somewhere or get something wrong, and we're just going to sit back on everything and just try to make you beat us by consistency. And we're going to hope that you make a mistake before we do and really not play aggressive. Or, like what I say, or the other one. So it's either really, really conservative, give your offensive time to rest, believe that you can match their score, try and get them to kick field goals, not touchdowns, try and just play back a little bit more, or screw it, let's just go heavy at them. And if we make them turn it over or punt like 3 times in the game, we can win. Because we're just all we're trying to do is get like a turnover or something and take it back to us because our offense is good enough. Do you go super conservative or super aggressive? Because I think you can't play in the middle. In the middle is where you lose games because now you're just hoping that something happens. And hope is not a method. It is for Jerry Jones and only Jerry Jones. But in real life, hope is not a method.
I think specifically this week you go super aggressive because the second Caleb Williams feels any sort of pressure, he's bailing. And he starts running around like a madman and throwing him back across his body and throwing off platform. And like he's really good at doing some of those things, but he also makes a ton of mistakes doing those things. So I think this week in particular, you probably go super aggressive and blitz a lot and force him to make mistakes. In the long term, though, I think it's probably more of the latter. Sitting back in coverage and hoping your guys hold up and play bend but don't break defense and hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns and that kind of thing. But this defense is going to be bad all year.
I'm aware.
I don't see that.
I want him to be super aggressive because it would be so fun to watch this team
just go engage 8 on every play.
No, and just be like, guys, it's like when Run TMC was in Golden State and they're like, we're not playing defense, but we're going to outscore you. If the defensive mode was, guys, we just want to get off the field. So either we're going to hit you and it's a fumble or an interception, or you throw off your back foot and we get one, or we're just putting our guys on islands. Or if you get out, you beat us and you score and we'll come back down and we'll go back and forth. We'll trade touchdowns. But I love that idea because it is way more entertaining football if you're just consistently sending like 7 guys. But I think that the more probably the way to play complementary football with this offense would be to only rush 3 basically all the time and just drop guys back. And just drop guys back. And, and just be ready for everything. Make them throw underneath. And they'll still beat you, and it'll be boring and horrible to watch because every play is going to be 14 plays and just eat up clock. And then your offense will come down and just score right away. But if you can get them to kick field goals instead of touchdowns, that's probably more doable than consistently causing them to have to punt or turn it over. probably more consistently doable.
Yeah, I would agree. It would be super boring, but I think that's the only way you actually have a chance, because eventually you're going to play a quarterback that, handles blitzes really well. Caleb Williams doesn't do it, and Justin Fields in October won't do it, and Bryce Young won't do it. But Jalen Daniels is going to handle it fine, and Jordan Love's going to handle it fine. So it's like maybe you change it from game to game. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I just, the Cowboys are a bad football team, and I keep saying that I'm not a fan, but every time I watch a Cowboys game, I feel pain and sorrow, which means that I still am a Cowboys fan in some way, shape, or form.
But I'll tell you this, I'm not a fan of the Cowboys. I've never been a fan of the Cowboys. I feel that same pain, Matt, because I cover the team, and so I have to watch these games. And I feel it. I feel the empathy of my friends and family, or not family, but friends who, watch this team and are consistently like, why is this happening to us? And then you say, Jerry Jones is the reason this is happening. All right. That wraps up the Jerry Jones hour. Let's take our last break, come back, get to our meathead of the day. This one is from your alma mater there, this meathead. So we'll get to that when we come back here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations, and we'd like to take a moment to thank all of our clients for making the last 37 years both fun and fruitful. If you haven't yet, I'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We come to you. So just relax, hug your kids, and smile. We handle all the work. Just give us a call at 255-8678 or online at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you got hip problems, if you got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to SendTexTickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. SendTexTickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's SendTexTickets.com.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered, wrapping it up here on a Thursday afternoon. Oh, man, Friday was already around the corner, and then we get into breaking down the game and getting ready for Sam Houston. I can't wait for tomorrow's show. It is going to be a good one. But let's get to our meathead of the day, Matt. And our meathead of the day is your boy Jackson Dart. Here's Eli Manning telling a story on his podcast, or a podcast, about offering to give Jackson Dart advice as a quarterback in New York. He offered to give Jackson Dart some advice, and if you ever need to call me, you call me. I'll be your guy. Here's Eli telling the story.
Jackson, if you have any questions about anything, I'm here for you, football related, or just, when you're deciding, what town you want to live in, or this or that, or just also it's training camp. He calls me, one day. He's like, "Hey, you got a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So, such a similar situation we're in, like, bringing in a veteran like Russell Wilson. They brought in
Kurt Warner. Yeah, sure.
I was like, maybe this is dealing with that or something. He goes, "Can you give me a reservation at Fort Charles tonight at 6:30?
The best French dip in America."
Yeah. I was like, no, that's not part of the deal. Like when I said I'm having to help out, I'm not doing that. I'm not your reservations guy. You have to earn the right to call and get your reservation.
That's amazing. Fort Charles Prime. Let me just give a little context to it. It's this like 8-table restaurant in Greenwich Village in New York City. It's impossible to get a table. It's one of those where you can't just go on Open Table or Resy and get a reservation. It's probably the greatest meal I've ever had in my life.
There's Eli Manning saying the first thing that Jackson Dart called him for when he said that he wanted. He's like, this young kid really gets it. This young kid, he's going to be a great player. He's already calling me for reservations. You want me to use my name to get you in camp? You didn't even get to the season. Already trying to get into it. Is this how they raise you in Ole Miss?
I'm ashamed. I thought Jackson would know better. I mean, Jackson's not exactly the guy to always make the best decisions. If by the way, if anybody wants to look up Jackson Dart girlfriend edit on TikTok or Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. But you have access to a 2-time Super Bowl winner, future Hall of Famer, who's been through the exact situation that you're going through in New York right now. Being a first-round pick and hyped up, but you got to sit behind a veteran and compete with veteran for playing time in the same city for the same franchise. And that's your first question? I'm speechless. That is so stupid. That is so stupid. Like
I thought that's how they did Ole Miss. I mean,
no. I mean,
do you think he knew that this restaurant was impossible to get reservations for, or he just like his girlfriend was just like, "Oh, you're for the Giants. Can you get a reservation?" And he was like, "Oh, I guess I could call a favor in," and he thought that's what he was doing. It's still dumb.
I'm more pissed off that, like, asking Eli to help him get a reservation is one thing. I'm pissed off that is the first time he's contacted him. You're an NFL rookie. Use your resources to get better. I'm calling it right now. Jackson Dart is not going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Wow. I mean, that's not that hard of a prediction to make. Not a Hall of Famer.
Well, you know what I mean. He's not going to be a great player because he's
Matt Stafford was borderline Hall of Fame. Like, I think even after winning the NFL, it's still like, is he 100% in? I think he is now. I think we're at the point now.
He's 1,000% in.
But you say that, but he's not, like, it's not a given thing because they'll put all the bad records up there too. So it's not a given thing for this. The NFL Hall of Fame is very hard to get into. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame.
He's never going to be a great player.
No, I get it. That is not the start you want to see, but I thought it was hilarious that is the one. I'm hoping that Eli is maybe fabricating a little bit and there was more to the conversation, or that wasn't the only time he's called him. But
I sure hope so.
But if that's the case, Jackson, come on, man. Come on. You can't be doing that stuff.
Awful.
All right. We're going to get out of here, Matt. Thursday Night Football tonight. Do the Bills win?
Yes.
Really? You think they beat the Dolphins?
Yes.
Does Mike McDaniel get on the does Mike McDaniel make it to the show tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
He's got 1 or 2 more losses in him before they.
What if it's like 70-0?
Then maybe, yeah. But I don't. It's Thursday.
I know it's their. Damn it! If Miami wins this game, Thursday Night Football should be canceled immediately.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say. All right, we got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Start to get ready for the weekend. Give our picks. Get you ready. Get you prepped. Give you the players you got to know. I don't know what the players we got to know. Do we know? We got to figure out if we have a quarterback. We know who we're playing for Sam Houston too. See if we can figure that out before tomorrow. We'll get all that done and get into it here tomorrow. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean. We'll be back tomorrow for more from Open.